That was super fun, but then just the editing, I mean, just the editing process
It's insane.
is nuts, and just mixing audio, grading everything, because I'm just very anal about like color grading and all that stuff. And so I would just do everything, shoot in raw, and then I would also do just all kinds of crazy stuff that just took way too much time, and then I got bored with it. So
You were color grading for the podcast then too?
Mhm. Yeah, so we were shooting, I think when we were shooting, like doing the filming aspect of it, we were shooting 6K raw, which is stupid. I should have just done 1080 because nobody gives a shit about what it looks like. As long as it sounds good, that's all that matters. As long as you put like more money into the audio side of things, like people will forgive the shittiest video. So I did a bunch of audio because I have an engineering background too, like audio engineering, and did that forever and then got into video. But yeah, that just got way too much.
I didn't know you started out in audio.
Yeah.
I would have guessed video was the start.
I actually, so I used to play guitar and stuff, and I used to write a lot of music, do producing, produced several records, mixed and all that stuff. And then I got into doing the video stuff more full time. So I still do occasionally, we'll do the audio stuff, but yeah, I was trained in engineering and all that stuff. And that's I loved doing it. I love being around music. So like, it's a ton of fun for me.
I've seen that you've shot a ton of music videos
Mhm.
around here and abroad.
Yeah, lots of that.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. The process with that is kind of interesting because I didn't want to, because I've always I don't know, I didn't like music videos starting out because it just was the same old thing every time, especially with like hip hop artists. It was, hey, I want to, stand in front of this house with these cars that I don't own.
And all
these
this
dope-
money.
Yeah, exactly. All this money
All
that
of
I
these
borrowed.
girls.
Yeah, it's just, I like things to actually have story to them. And I talk to artists all the time that are hip hop artists or whatever, that if you just focused on your visuals and you were, focusing more on telling story rather than like, look at the shit that I own. Like that will be a timeless music video. Like I love Kendrick Lamar's music videos because they put so much time into those and scripting those out and stuff. And they're just amazing. So anyway, music videos I was not the biggest fan of for the longest time. And then I started doing it because I realized, okay, if you're going to complain about this stuff, start doing something about it. And because I used to have a big ego problem and then let that get in the way of being creative. I'm like, oh, well, these guys suck. And blah, 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 blah. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, you need to stop, bro. You need to like focus on, if you're going to focus on this so much, do something about it. And so I did. So yeah. And I'm kind of blunt. You'll start to realize I'm learning how to filter that. So yeah.
Well, that's a good quality to have to drive you to improve on something.
Mhm.
I mean, if you were just satisfied with it being mediocre,
Yeah.
where's the motivation to try to change that?
Right. Yeah. And I'm always pushing people too, is like, if you care so much about the thing that you're doing, say you're a music artist or something like that, like put all that time into the video aspect as well. Is you put so much time and effort into your music and it means so much to you. Why not focus on the visuals as well and put as much time and effort into that as possible? Because like you'll think of that stuff. A lot of people I recognize will be like, oh, we'll just shoot something and we'll call it good. It's like, no, I want to create timeless stuff with you guys. And it's like, just focus on that. Like have a standard, because especially around here in Humboldt, we're 10, 15 years behind in everything. And but there's some guys that are trying to kill it right now and are killing it. Like you had Eli on here a little bit ago. Like his whole crew is really, they're like destroying it right now. And so that's super good to be doing. That's a great example of what to do, especially in this area. Cause I go down to LA and it's just way ahead of us. Here, it's like an episode of Doctor Who. It doesn't know where in its timeline to exist. And so it's just all this, it's just interesting. So
Yeah, I think that sums up Humboldt County pretty well.
yeah, I feel all kinds of things about Humboldt, so I'm going to be careful. But I love being here, I will say that. It's just, it's time for some upgrades, for sure.
Is it challenging trying to do what you're doing up here? I mean, obviously you have the visual background and it's beautiful up here and it's great in that aspect. But as far as talent or opportunity, does it get a little more challenging?
It does, yeah. Because down in LA, I mean, you have so many people that want to work and do things, like so many actors that are willing to do things for free, which is great. But there's a lot more of a community down there with filmmaking than there is up here. And the guys and girls up here, it's kind of hard to connect with because when you do find those people, they have their little bubble and they don't want to go outside of that. And I'm all about community and lifting each other up. And it's like, okay, if I have skills and talents that can help you get to the next level, I will gladly serve that vision. and do that for you. But a lot of that around here doesn't exist. And so that's kind of been the bummer part, is like I try to get into some groups and they're like, oh no, we're good. Thank you. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But I'm all about like just building community and stuff. And that's why I like what Eli does, is he's got this massive group of people and I help them out occasionally. And back in the day, like Eli would come over to my studio and he watched like how I set up some stuff and like watched the recording process, because he's all about building community as well. So it's like you get these people that focus on that stuff together, and then we could change this entire weird perspective and mindset that Humboldt has of like, I'm going to be on my own little island and stay away
from it. It's a famine mentality.
Yeah.
I got to guard my stuff because I don't want you to come in and take over or do it better. Or
exactly.
So I'm going to wall off the garden.
Right. And it's like when it's a good point, is like the do it better thing is, if somebody does it better, freaking great. Learn from it. Because that's what I do all the time, is my mentors, I tell, hey, if I suck at something, if this thing is ass, tell me. I want to know that. And that mentality is kind of getting lost a little bit, because everybody wants to be the best at what they do, which is great, but you still need to be mentored. I believe in the Jedi Master Padawan thing going on. So yeah, but.
Well, how do you expect to get better if everybody is just telling you you're great?
Yeah.
And not saying, hey, this was kind of a shitty project, or how you implemented this wasn't that great.
Dude.
You're just going to, if you have yes men around you, you're not going to get any better.
No, that's exactly it. Is you have to have those people that are going to be brutally honest with you. And and the same thing with my girlfriend is, if I know she loves me. This is a good example. I know she loves me, and I know she cares about my dreams and my desires and my passions and everything. But I always tell her is like, I want you to be honest with me about this stuff. Does it suck? Like, our relationship isn't going to suffer because you're honest with me. Like, I want to know what I can do to be better, how I can be better in this area or whatever it is. And same thing with my mentors is like, I'm a very emotional person, but I know how to turn that off when it comes to my job and the things that I create. So I love it when people tell me, hey, you might want to try to fix this. You might want to try to fix that. And I thrive off of that, because then I see it in my next project, like I'm significantly better. So, I mean, even when I was doing the podcasting stuff, like I hit up Nikki Glazer, actually, and because I ran into her at a thing, and I was like, so I'm starting a podcast. What's the number one thing that you'd recommend for me to do? And she said, record yourself constantly, film yourself constantly, start noticing where you lack in your speech and your mannerisms, and you'll start to see what you need to work on. And it's really revealing, and it really sucks. And she's like, Justin, it really fucking sucks, because you're like, oh, I suck. And it's like, oh shit. And so then I started doing that, and I didn't realize the amount of times I said likes, I was like a stone wall just doing this. And I wasn't very expressive, and I'm an expressive person, but I felt like, and I needed to be doing this kind of stuff to seem like I was dominating in the conversation or whatever it was. And I fixed a lot. But anyway, yeah, that was a big inspiration too, was her opening that door as well, being like, yeah, just be open to change, be open to growth. And yeah.
That's some great advice. Yeah. It is brutal, especially on camera or through audio when you're listening back to yourself. It is brutally apparent, every shortcoming.
Dang. Yeah. And it is. Like, have you noticed stuff with you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's been your biggest stuff?
At the beginning, the likes, the ums, and it'd be every episode. And then I started noticing it in guests, which you can't really control when the guest says it. So then it would
you don't stop them and you're like, oh my God, shut the hell up.
I had a guest one time, a good friend, and I brought it up before, and he said like maybe 15 times in the span of 8 seconds. And I just we ended the podcast. We just brought it to a close because I just couldn't get it out of my head. And then I knew we were going to start saying like more. Yeah. So you just got to pull the plug.
How did he handle that when you told him?
I didn't tell him that's why.
You did
naturally brought it to, it was at a good conclusion to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
But that is something I still work through.
Yeah.
I had a podcast the other day and I said, that's fascinating, or it's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe 12 times through the whole podcast, and it's all I've been able to think about for the last 24 hours. It's just
fuck.
Yeah.
Wait, are we allowed to cuss?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can say whatever.
Okay, cool. I won't say whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about that nonstop. It's just been, and I haven't even gotten to the audio. I haven't even started editing it.
Oh,
and
shoot.
I can't stop thinking, because I noticed doing it in the podcast, and I just couldn't stop. Because the more I thought about it, the more I said it, and then it's just this vicious cycle.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, I hate doing that stuff. And then there was one thing I was working on too, was when somebody's talking, and I'm doing it now, is not saying, yeah, but I want people to know I'm engaged. But at the same time, it depends on the person. Like when you do those little fillers when they're talking, like, yeah, like saying that you're agreeing, it can sometimes kill that flow of thought. And so that's something that I'm also watching. And so is one of my things too. So I'm not used to doing this. I'm always behind the cameras, and it's just awkward sometimes for me to do this. So, but yeah.
Is that where you feel more comfortable? Is kind of behind the camera? Or more in power, I guess you would say?
More comfortable, and directing is something I absolutely love doing. Like being a DP and directing is just like the most fun I've had doing filming stuff. And I'll get asked occasionally to do this stuff, and it's just always so awkward for me because I'm like, I don't find myself that interesting at all. And so like, I know the stuff that I do is definitely interesting as far as filming, but it's weird for me to do this. But I just challenge myself. Like the beginning of this year, I said, if it makes me uncomfortable and makes me feel weird, I'm going to do it for the most part. Like if there's some stuff that I'm not going to do, obviously, but yeah, this is definitely one of those things I agreed to. So
you have to push the boundaries of what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just live in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, I was joking about it the other day that if there was a way I could have done this podcast and remained anonymous doing it, I would have done that.
Oh, dude, that'd be so dope. Yeah, absolutely.
Just a black screen. Every time it cuts to me, nobody knows who I am. I'm just behind this little curtain.
That'd be amazing. I almost brought in one of my Star Wars helmets just as a joke. Be like, I have to wear this when I do this because it makes me feel safe. But I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting in that behind the camera, you're not only shaping the people that are on camera, you also, I mean, you're focusing on the shots, you're focusing on the framing, then you have to work with the actors and get them comfortable. I mean, you've got way more. I just have to sit here and talk and try to be interesting for 5 seconds and then spin it back to the guest.
Yes, it's a lot. It's so much fun though, because part of me loves telling people what to do, and I have a history of like being a little too aggressive with that. But then I found filming, I could do that in a creative way. And I'm also like totally into psychology and like read a ton. And so like I worked through a lot of my ego issues and all that crap. But then I found an outlet for it where it was actually a safe place to do it. And I'm like, I just fell in love with it. But it is a lot. But once you get into the groove of it, I mean, doing this, once you get into the groove and you find your pace with it, and it's just something you're super passionate about, like all the work that comes with it just kind of seems just like second nature. And it's not really, you have your stressful moments, especially in editing, which editing is just a bitch, especially when you're editing like long form stuff. Like when I edit my wedding films, that can be just the biggest pain in the ass sometimes, because I'll be on fire with an edit and be like, oh, this is going to be so dope. And then I realize, oh, this doesn't make sense anymore. And then I have to like take a break and then just stop freaking out and stuff. Editing is insane. But yeah, but I love doing that stuff. It's a lot of fun, especially directing and being a DP. Like I can do that all day long. And it's a lot of technical stuff too. Like I go into rooms and restaurants and whatever else, and I'm assessing lighting. Like, okay, what's the color temperature of this? Why did I light it like this? Like this is kind of dumb because it makes it feel like an interrogation scene. Like I'm always doing that in every environment that I'm in. And sometimes I have to just learn to shut that off because it becomes way too much because my brain is just constantly going.
But it's hard because that's what you have to focus on when you're actually doing the thing.
Yeah.
And so you get into this, like you said, a flow state.
Yeah.
And then it becomes all you see is, oh, this shot would look great right now, or this sunset is perfect, or I could do something with this room, even when you're not actually working.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, even with watching movies and stuff is, like I'll do this. I have a rule is the first time through, I'm watching it purely for pleasure. I cannot sit there and tear it apart as much as I want to. And then the second time I'll be like, okay, I would have done this. I would have put this light here because this would have conveyed like this feeling a lot more. And yeah, it's interesting.
With your wedding films, I mean, they're pretty cinematic. I mean, it's almost like a short film.
Yeah, that was, I just got tired of wedding films, like being the super cinematic slow motion shots of like, which I still do, and like clients will still pay for it, and I will absolutely do them. But I wanted something, I started recognizing like I wanted it more story driven, especially because some of the people that attend those weddings, you never know if you're going to see them again. And now we're doing this thing where we mic, I think I have 15 mics that we use on a day, and I'm trying to get to at least 20 or 30. So that way I can mic all the important people, and then we can just go back, because I shoot in time code. I don't know if you've gotten to time code yet.
No, I haven't, but I've seen your video on it.
Okay, yeah. So the time code stuff is just a freaking godsend. So everything's ran off time code. There's this master clock, and everything's synced to it, yada, yada, yada. So I can go back, and then, because I edit in DaVinci Resolve, I can just sync to time code, and then everything in my timeline just sets up, and it's way easier to edit that way because it just shows the entire day, and I can just start doing that stuff. But yeah, I started recognizing that I wanted more storytelling in wedding films, because it's like your special day, and you never know if you're going to see these people again, and you want to be able to go back and watch those conversations and see like your great grandfather, your great grandmother, your grandmother, whatever it is, say these things, and it's turning into like a whole different style for me. Because like when I first started doing wedding films, it was just a standard, here's a 3-5 minute like music video. There you go. And then I was just like, okay, this needs something.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
You just sync it up to a song, cut through a few frames.
Yeah. And it still works occasionally. Like some people, like I have some couples that want that, and I will still do it. I mean, because I like having money and I'm good at that stuff. Like it's just pretty easy. But I mean, that's why it's like a lot of education when it comes to wedding films now, especially in the style that we're shooting it. Like I have to go through and explain, okay, this is why I would push you to do like a documentary edit, because you want these conversations, you want this stuff, it's just a lot. Yeah, but I love the way that we're doing it now. But when I first started, it was not great. So it was interesting.
Did you kind of pioneer that style out of necessity, or had you seen something that sparked that idea in you?
Well, I thought about it a while ago, and I just didn't like make the jump on it because, and this is something in my personality that I've been working on for a while, is I'll get too scared to try something new. And then ergo my whole starting this year with like, okay, if it scares me, I'm going to do it. I thought about it a couple of years ago, and I was actually going through my journal, and if you don't journal. I encourage everybody to do that. I was going through my journal, and I wrote down that I want to start changing wedding films. I wanted them to be a little bit more story driven and not so flashy and what everybody else is doing. And it's actually a friend of mine out of Texas, Justin Porter. He actually started pushing the more documentary story driven stuff within the last year, and he's just blowing up on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. And then it was one of those situations where I was like, damn it. Like I should have just jumped on it when I thought about it, because now he's blown up and he's killing it. So, we had a call like a couple months ago and talked about it. And he even told me, he's like, dude, you shoot the same as I do, and if not better. And you just should have jumped on that stuff. He's like, you should still do that. And so that's what I've been kind of moving everything toward, is just that. So, and it's been great. Like, I get couples that are like, I'm so glad that we had that conversation because I missed this, and this. And I just care about people having it in general. Like, I love behind the scenes stuff. I love all that jazz. Like, I got asked to do several behind the scenes videos for people for their films and all that, because I just love following the story. I love listening to people. That's why I had the podcast for a little bit, because everybody has a story, and I love listening. Like, that's my favorite thing to do, is like, I don't care to talk all that much, but like obviously I said yes to this, but I love being a sponge, and I love listening to people's passions and desires. And so with the wedding film stuff, like I love love as well. And so being able to be on the day and like ask questions like, hey, you said this earlier about your husband or your future husband, like why? Like, why does he mean that much to you? Like, what do you mean? Like, you this, and this, and it just turns into this whole story. And I love that, because especially when, this is going to get nerdy, but especially like when you can tell like the couples, they're like truly each other's choice. And it's not one of those things where it's, you just got married to get married kind of thing. I'm not saying everybody does that, but you can just feel there's this tangible thing of when the two people choose each other. And I love getting, conversations and stories out of them when it's just like that thick, and it's awesome. So
have you had a couple of those where you're sitting there placing bets like, this is not, we might last a couple of days, but this is not going to pan out?
I mean, to be honest, one, and I actually asked them permission a while ago to talk about it, because they even knew, and they were just doing it out of, and it was sad. They were doing it because it was expected of them from their families. And they just kind of like went along with it and just did it to please everybody. And because we actually talked about it in a podcast a while ago. And that, I think that was the only couple, and that was kind of a bummer. But I don't like sit there on the day and take bets, because that would just like throw me off my game. And then I'd be like, okay, because like at the moment that I did that, I know I'd stop putting the effort into doing it, because it's just like, man, if you guys aren't going to choose each other, then why am I doing this? Why did you hire me? Like, I've been through some crazy stuff with wedding films though. Like there's been some really interesting situations as far as like people wrestling during receptions and stuff. Had a groom one time, he got mad at his best man and like suplexed him into the ground. And that was a fun one to watch. But yeah, they get crazy sometimes.
Did that make the wedding cut?
No. God, no. The best man actually went to the hospital because he cracked his head open and stuff. And I did get permission for that one too. I actually even signed a waiver. Yeah, speaking of waivers. And so, yeah, because I wanted to talk about that story a while ago. And it was insane. Like, everybody was having a great time. They just got way too drunk. And then next thing you know, they're just starting to say things to each other. And then the groom's just like, hey, you know what? And then just suplexes him, cracks his head open, and goes to the hospital.
Yeah, weddings can get a little dicey sometimes.
Yeah. That's why you have to be really good with people. That's why I love psychology too, is I'm a huge people watcher as well. That's just like one of my big things. And so it's helped a lot with weddings, because I know, okay, this is how this person needs to be talked to. Like I know how to diffuse this situation, yada, yada, yada. And so, they can be pretty nuts for sure.
This idea of having it be driven by the story,
Mm-hmm.
are you going in with an idea of the arc for that? Or are you meeting with the groom and bride beforehand to try to get a feel of the direction you want to take it? Or does that come out through all of the footage that you're recording?
I usually try to meet with people way beforehand if they're into it. There's some couples that I get where they just want a highlight wedding film and that's it. They don't want to do anything about, the story-driven stuff, and it's totally fine. But then that's why I also filter out couples. Like we'll do consultation calls, because I'll say no to weddings too. Because if we're not going to vibe well, then on the day we're not going to vibe well. And I don't want to, take away from that day. And because I have a dominant personality and stuff. And so it's like, sometimes that kind of gets not in the way. I don't know how to phrase that. I'm just dominant. And then you get somebody or a couple that's super sensitive. They're not going to do well with me, because I'm like, all right, so can we try to do this? Can we try to do that? Like, what? Yeah. And so, so it just, what was the question again? Sorry, I got so distracted.
Just the arc of the story.
Oh, arc of the story, yeah.
You weave it.
Yeah.
Incredibly well. I mean, it all fits perfectly.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's, so it comes from a lot of the meetings that we have beforehand. Like, I'll ask them, okay, why did you choose each other? And if I get it was just like we were at the bar and doing our stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, great, which is great. But then I'll get couples where it's just, they'll go into a long thing. And I'm like, okay, there it is. And so I'll actually, if they'll allow me, I'll screen record like a Zoom call or something like that, or even take notes about how they met and yada, yada, yada. Or I'll send them a questionnaire that will, you can fill it in as well, and they'll tell their story there. So that way I kind of have a script or something, and then I'll kind of build the story off of that. And if they allow it, I'll get in touch with the friends, I'll get in touch with the parents and all that, and just kind of get all of their opinions and their stories about the couple, and then start weaving that together. And then I'll kind of get something in my head to go off of. So there's a lot of research that I put into, my couples, and one of them actually labeled me the professional stalker. So I actually even had shirts made that says professional stalker on it. So that's kind of how I do the story end of things. And again, if like people aren't into that, then I don't do it. I don't force it on them. But it's also, again, going back to the education thing. A lot of the time, like, oh, get a photographer. That's the number one thing, but you don't think about the video guys, because it's just, it seems like an extra thing, but it's like, you have a still image of the day. I mean, and you probably already know where I'm going to go with this. It's like you have your still image, but then you can actually relive that entire day and feel everything that you actually felt. And like, images are great. They're dope. And then that quote, what is it? A picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm like, cool, but imagine what the video's like. And so I try to push that quite a bit, and it's fun. So I enjoy it. But yeah.
Well, and it's effective, right? Because you can just see the picture, or you can actually hear the person give the speech and say the thing.
Yep.
And then that moment's captured forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love doing that. Like, I have had some badass toasts and stuff that have gone viral and some other stuff. And it's just, I always push everybody, like, do the documentary edit, do the documentary package, because you're not going to regret it. You want to hear all these things, like, and you really, because you're educating a lot of the time, because a lot of us video guys don't get, thought of. And so, that's why, I'll push things and educate people on my Instagram pages, even though I'm terrible at social media. Like, I'd rather just focus on creating than doing all that stuff. Like, my buddy Tex that does all that. I'm like, okay, good on you, man. But it just takes up so much brain power, and I just would rather use it elsewhere. And
it just feels weird marketing yourself or marketing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of off-putting.
Well, because I don't enjoy, I want to say this nicely, I don't enjoy the people that are constantly like, look at me. I'm more of the mindset of let your work speak for itself. Like, it drives me crazy when people say, I'm the best this, or like DJ Khaled, we the best music. I'm like, dude, oh my God, no, you're not. Like, he's a facilitator. That's what he's great at. He's doing, but his music, anyway, I'm not gonna go off on that. But like, I'm always about like, let the work speak for itself. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It's harder that way though.
Yeah.
Because then it's,
marketing yourself.
Not necessarily slow growth, but definitely slower growth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, well, I was talking to my buddy Justin about it. And, he's like, dude, you have a good personality. You're funny. You have a very dry sense of humor, and people need to see that. Like, they'll buy more if you put yourself out there more. I'm like, dude, I really don't want to do that though. Like, I feel like a $5 lady of the night. I don't want to just be used like that. And it's just weird because I also love being private, especially with my family, and I want to protect their privacy as well, because I don't like how much social media exposes like where we live and all that jazz, because it's super easy to find people. I could do that in a heartbeat. Like,
that's how I found you.
Yeah, exactly.
Case in point.
100%. And so, but yeah, I'm getting over it now. Like, I'm getting over the thing of feeling awkward promoting myself, because it's just like, okay, I have a family to provide for. I love doing this, and if the people want it, then the people want it. And I'm here to serve the people. And that's what I say constantly is I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve the people, whatever you need. And if you need a video of me showing you how I light things and how I, mic a dress or something, or how I filmed this music video or edited this film, great. And like, I have to remember it's not about me. And I think that's a big thing for me, is just like removing myself from the situation, or like the social media marketing end of it, and then just focus on, I'm here to give tools and resources to people. Then I could do it. But then once I get in the headset, I'm like, I hate the way that like I talk and do this, and this, then it becomes weird. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Well, if you aren't good at marketing, it doesn't matter how good the product is.
Right.
Because nobody's going to find it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's why I just, with my girlfriend, we were talking about that too, her taking stuff over. Like, she just filmed some behind the scenes stuff for me at a wedding we just did. And I'm turning that into reels and stuff. And those are doing pretty well. And so I'm just like, all right, we'll just start bringing her along, because she has an eye for it. And a couple of my other friends have eyes for it. And I just don't have the grid for it. And then once they get all the footage to me, then I can start saying, okay, I know how to market this. Like, I know how to do that, and I can do it for everybody else. Like, seriously, I there's a couple of bands that I help with their marketing, and a couple of influencer people find their vision and all that stuff and help them create everything for them. But when it comes to me, I've always struggled with my own stuff. And so, but I'm learning slowly.
Yeah, we were talking about color correction.
Yeah.
That's the next frontier I have to learn, is marketing.
Yeah.
Because it's just so crucial in today's day and age, because there's so much shit out there.
There's so
you can
much.
just get buried. It doesn't matter how good the product is. It doesn't matter how creative.
Totally.
You can just get paved over by someone that knows how to brand their stuff.
Yeah. And that's, it's super hard because there's so much noise out there. And so, the people that I work with, like I tell them all the time, is just be you. And that's what's going to sell, because people can feel the genuine stuff. Like I work with a couple bands now where they're trying to copy other bands. They're trying to do the same thing that this other band is doing. And it's like, because it's a template and it's this yada, yada, yada. I'm like, no, do the opposite. Like find your guys' voice, find your personality, and then start pushing that stuff. Like film band practices, film recording sessions. Like if one of you is the dweeb of the group, like make stuff out of that. But like, you're never going to be a Coldplay. You're never going to be a whoever is famous now or Post Malone. Like you're never going to be those guys. And that's, if you manage those expectations when it comes to marketing yourself and you just focus on yourself and marketing your stuff and your personality and your, then it's going to do way better than you copying another person. And I've found that works every time. If you just stay true to who you are and you show the people that, it does wonders. And yeah, like you might get a viral video of copying somebody for a split second, but if you can't be consistent, especially with who you are, then it's just going to fail ultimately. So.
And imagine if it does take off, you copying this person, and then every day or everything that you do, you have to put on this mask and play this persona.
Dude, I know people that are doing that now and it's killing them. It's you gotta be careful here. It's making them money and it's making them do cool things, but it's destroying who they are. And then that's where you have to really sit down and ask yourself, is selling yourself like that worth it? Is it worth pretending to be somebody else? Like completely just throwing your personality and who you are in the trash. And it's, man, I'd rather just be me than put on masks and stuff. And so I encourage everybody that I work with is like, just be you. Like I get playing the game. We all have to. Like I understand the game. Like I totally get it. But I don't know. It's just, it depends on what the situation. I'll say that. But yeah, I've worked with people where it's just like, you can see that they're just destroying themselves because of how fake that they have to be, again, pretending to be somebody else. But yeah,
that's a high price to pay going down that path, because that would fuck with me just on the level of then, do these people actually like what you're doing, or is it that you're pretending to be this other thing?
Yeah,
I don't know if I could ever get past that.
Yeah, because it's like you're kind of like this other thing, and that's the closest that they can get to that other thing that they ultimately want to get to, and you're kind of a little bit of a representation of that. And so it's just this, it's this weird dichotomy of, I don't even know. I just encourage everybody I work with, just focus on you, just be you, because you know you really well, and you can be consistent there. You can't be consistent with the mask stuff, and if you are, you've got some issues and need to see a therapist. So
yeah, that might be a little psychopathic.
Yeah,
that might be 100%. A red flag.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, that's even with people that I work with, is it could take me places and stuff, but I will just, like, if I can just tell this isn't like, if this isn't gonna, if you're not gonna be real and true, I don't want to work with you. Like, that's kind of how I am too. So, but yeah.
Do you think that hampers, I mean, specifically with musicians, does it hurt their music when they're trying to fit that mold just to maybe get a little more shine or a little more recognition? I
don't think it does. It depends on where you're at. If you're in like the mainstream space with, you know, writing syncs, like music for films and commercials and all that stuff, like I don't think that hurts too much, like, because you're playing the game, you're doing the thing. Because you're paying the bills. Like if you're paying the bills with that, great. But I don't know. It's weird. That's a weird situation. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and it's hard in context too, right? Because would you rather work for the next 40 years not knowing if you're going to make it, but trying to be who you really are?
Yeah.
Or blow up next week pretending to be this other thing.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a question of how sustainable is that long term for you? Yeah, you're making money, but
yeah. I have a buddy now that he does that. He's just creating song after song, and they've gone places, but we'll talk, and he's just like, I want to do me stuff though. Like I'm just selling this and I'm selling that, and he's paying the bills and killing it, like making great money. But it's just like, I'm not on that side of things. Like I just am friends with people that do that stuff, and I encourage people that do that stuff and help them create. But he's just selling a lot of himself to be this thing, and it's destroying him. And he's got like this dream of being in this massive band and yada, 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 but not making the moves to do that because just how comfortable he's been playing the game. And I don't know, it takes a special kind of person to be able to do it. Like, a psychopath kind of person to do that. And it's like, if you do that, great on you. It's just, I can't, and I don't encourage people to do that. So even though it's a machine and you do have, again, you have to play the game, I get it, but I can't do that ever. So
do you feel that machine creep in on what you're doing as well? Because you're doing skits, you're doing wedding stuff, you're doing music videos. I mean, you have a broad range of stuff. Do you worry about audience capture coming into play?
Yeah, I do to an extent. We were actually talking about this the other day with my team is, you do have to make some stuff for everybody else, because especially if you want to get, like, eventually I want to direct a Star Wars show or a movie or whatever it is. Like, I love Star Wars. That's my thing. And you do have to make stuff for the audience, like, especially when it comes to music. I was just talking with a friend about this, is you have to make an album to please the people, and then you make one for yourself, and then you make another one for the people to keep it relevant, to keep them interested in who you are and all that stuff. Like John Mayer, like, I love John Mayer. He's great. He even talks about the same thing, as he had a couple albums where it's just for the people. And then he went and did, I think it was Born and Raised, which is like, I think a straight acoustic album. And that was all for him. It didn't do well at all in the charts. It was terrible in the charts, but then he felt like the most true to himself. And then out of that was like this very therapeutic thing that he went through, and then came back and wrote music for the people again. So with audience capture, though, you do have to do that. And I do on occasion, like, I'll pay attention to the comments and all that stuff, because people are always like, don't read the comments, don't do that. I'm like, well, if there's a general consensus of like, hey, this is ass, it would be better if you did this. And if it's just the majority, then kind of listen to that. But if it's just like one guy in his basement being like, oh my God, you're terrible, it's like, screw that guy. But like, I'll take some stuff too. Like when I do skits with people, like texts or whatever it is, like we'll go through the comments sometimes and read those and see like, what could we do better to please the people? And if there's a majority, like 90% of them that said like, hey, it would have been more awesome if it was this, then we'll listen to that. Then we'll go and rewrite stuff and do things over again or whatever it is. With my wedding films too, I will send those out to people, have them watch them, like at least 5 or 10 people, depends on like how I'm feeling that day. If like it's total ass, then I don't want to hear from 10 people. Like, hey, this is crap.
You're like, I get the picture.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it from the 5 people. But it depends. So I definitely get sometimes super worried about the audience capture, because like I have to, in a way, please people. It's a balance, of course. So I'm learning.
It's hard walking that line.
It is. Yeah, it really is, especially for being somebody that's creative. In this day and age, it's all about marketing yourself. Going back to that, it's all about, how like your product is like, because you have to think about that stuff when you're posting things. It's like, how is the audience going to resonate with this? Like, and I want to make sure that they do. And if they don't, then it's like, that could be more work that's lost for you, because it's not. Yeah. So it's a balance for sure. And with my wedding films, though, like I don't give 2 shits about what people think, except for the couple, and that's it. So if they're super pleased with it and they're great with it, that's all that matters. So if I get Joe Schmo coming in and being like, oh, I would have filmed it like this, and well, it's not about you. Like, and thank you for your input. And
meanwhile, that guy probably doesn't even have a camera.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I've had that on TikTok a couple times. Like people have reached out to me through there. Like I've posted a couple of clips that have gone viral on there, which ultimately led to nothing. That virality means nothing until, I don't know. That's a whole other topic. But like I had people reach out. There's one guy that just really just irked me. He was actually a DP in LA, and he like watched this clip of a wedding that I did. He's like, I would have done this, this, and this. And then I just kind of came back with, in what world did you think that was okay to, say these things and yada, yada, yada? Like, did I give you permission? And he's like, well, you posted it publicly. Like, crap. That's a good point. But it's just, I still don't care. I can't, because I used to have like a massive people pleasing problem. And so it's just one of those things of, does this deserve or warrant me caring about this? But when it comes to my wedding films, again, it's just the couples that matter, and that's it. And then I just leave it.
Well, in that case specifically, they're the ones paying the bill, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm there to
their
serve
opinion matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody else, you can get bent.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so, but if it's somebody that's like, that has notoriety in the video world or the filming world, that's like, hey, like this could have been great. If it depends on the heart. Like if it depends on how it's delivered, it depends on the motive of it. If it's somebody that like I respect, then I'll definitely listen to it for sure. Like if it's a lighting thing or whatever. Like a buddy of mine, he's a gaffer, does lighting for crazy videos down south, like amazing guy. I set up a C-stand wrong for a light, and then he texted me this novel of like what to properly do. And at first, excuse me, I wanted to be super offended by it, but I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like he's doing the thing. Like he's great at what he does. Like there's a reason why he gets hired all the time. And so I just like corrected that and stuff. But people like that I'll listen to for sure. But if it's just
and that's an easy thing to fix and a tangible thing to fix. I would imagine when you're directing, it gets a little more dicey because like Tarantino's going to direct a movie completely different than James Cameron would.
100%.
And so if you have one saying, hey, you should shoot it this way.
Yeah.
Well, where does your subjective eye come into that?
Exactly. Like I was actually just listening to something the other day where it was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, because they've had this friendship forever, and they would actually help each other direct. And I didn't know this, but it was on I forgot what podcast it was. But Spielberg was talking about like he'd go to George and be like, "Hey, how would you direct this thing?" And like the camaraderie there was like these are two heavy hitters that are just like helping each other direct each other's films, and that's super badass. Like that I can totally get. But if it's something like Tarantino where he's got a vision and do not tell him how to execute it, like he's just, I mean, that guy's a god in general. I know a lot of people hate on Tarantino now because, I mean, he's got a lot of crazy stuff in his films, but he's still a boss. Like I love, like his films actually are timeless because he puts so much effort into them and stuff. But anyway, directing, like, yeah, it just depends. That's why it's good. There's a hierarchy in the filming world as far as like who's the director. And if you want to take, opinions from other people, like when I direct people, I'll definitely listen to them. I never say no on a set. I never, ever say no, because that's when you start saying no, you shut people's brains off to being creative. And that's such a heartbreaking thing to watch. So like when I'm directing people and I have somebody that comes up to me and says, hey, it'd be really cool if we did this, this, and this. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And then I'll just continue directing. Because, I mean, even with actors and stuff is, a couple of the actors I've worked with, a lot of them are super sensitive and you have to be aware of that. And they'll have ideas, and if they don't work out, then they don't work out. But I never tell them no, because who knows, like they could have an amazing idea. And I've had several amazing ideas from actors where they're like, hey, I want to try it this way. I want to do it this way. Great, let's do it. If we have the time and the budget for it. But yeah, it's the yes and thing. I don't know if you've heard of that before. Yeah, it's like the Second City. I read that book a while ago. It's like Second City, yes and I've used it for years now. Because I hated being told no when I was being creative, like when I have an idea or something, and that was like a childhood trauma where I've been told like, no, you can't do this, and I would just shut down. And so now that's actually something I bring to the table, like when I'm directing people, is always imagining the little version of me. Okay, if I was talking to me when I was super insecure and all this stuff, how would I take being told like this? Or being told no, or whatever it is. And then I cater to that and kind of shift things to how that person needs to hear it. But when it's directing, I totally just went on a tangent. But when it's directing, like I will usually tell people I don't want to, like if it's my crew, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear you guys say anything about directing because there needs to be order. Otherwise, there's going to be chaos. Because if you've got 80 directors on a set or a music video set or whatever it is, like your actors and your performers are going to get so confused because, well, he said he wants it this way. Well, he wants it this way. And they need consistency with just the one, unless you're a dual director thing. Like me and my friend Tex, we do videos together and we'll both direct because he has like this massive vision and I say this all the time, but he's very whimsical and very space cadetish and is just all over the place and super creative, and he doesn't sometimes communicate effectively to the group of people that we're working with, and so I get to be like, okay, hey, so is this how you want this to be done? And it's not all the time, but there's certain cases where he absolutely needs to learn how to translate a little bit better. So I'll be there if it's his production. I'll be there and be like, okay, this is what he meant. Can we try this, and this? But when I'm directing, I don't want anybody talking to me from my crew about like how to direct something because, yeah, if they I tell them at the beginning of each shoot, if you have an opinion, wait till we're done and then tell me like afterwards, or even before, but not before the actual take that we're going to do, like that we're going for real. Because it will just mess with me and it will mess with the flow of, you know, whoever I'm directing. And we can't have so many cooks in the kitchen like that. So
yeah, otherwise you guys are going to be out there all day.
Yeah, which
it's just going to become this cluster.
Yeah, and that's why I'm very adamant about the hierarchy of a film set, because it's just, you can't have this cluster and it gets so old. Like, I hate when things are out of control and everybody's all over the place and nobody knows what the hell's going on. That drives me nuts. Yeah, and so I like to run a tight ship, but I also have a lot of grace for people. It's just, it depends on if we're tight for budget and schedule and all that stuff. Like, I'm going to be a hard ass about it. I'll allow you to do your thing if you're the actors and stuff, being creative for sure, because we need the best we can possibly get out of you. But I also know how to work with people in those situations. Like, a lot of the time, like, I'll go into those situations a little bit scared, because like directing people is always so intimidating. But then once you're in it, like, you just turn into a whole different person. And then you just, especially if you feed or feel off of people and you understand the vibe of a situation, you know how to work with them and make it a successful shoot or whatever it is. So yeah.
And I would imagine that psychology aspect really comes into play there.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of subtly nudge or diffuse a situation or
totally
keep everybody on track.
Yeah, that's, you know, the psychology of it is super great. I think every director or anybody really in the film world needs to study psychology. I didn't go to school for it or anything, but I read nonstop. Like, I love reading. I think everybody needs to read and spend more time reading than on their phones. But it's just, you know, once you know somebody's personality type, once you know and understand, like, I can't, like with my girlfriend, for instance, like, this is a good example. I always go to her for examples because I'm more of a straight shooter. Because I'm used to like working with people like that, where I can be like, hey, this needs to get done, this, and this. But then when I get home, I can't sit there and be like, all right, babe, you do this, and this. Also, I don't like the way you did this. It's like, you have to talk to her how she understands. And I call it the Candyland theory, where you kind of do this Candyland thing of explaining something. It's going to take like a half an hour to 45 minutes to get to the point. But if that's how they feel heard and understood and loved, you have to take the time for that and have the grace for that process. Because if you don't, you're ruining connection. And so it's the same thing when I'm working with people as well, is if I can, I like to know their personality types. So that way I know, okay, you need to be talked to like this. I need to understand you like this. Like, again, I always go to Tex because he's one of my best friends. He needs things said in a certain way. I can't go up to him and be like, hey, you're an asshole. Because he would shut down. It's like, hey, you know, you handled this in this way, yada, yada, yada. What if we try it like this next time? And just be aware of this is how you were acting. Then he gets it. So you can't be a drill sergeant to super sensitive people. And yeah, but it's good to study psychology for sure. So, and like, I'm friends with, you know, military guys that were like counterintelligence stuff, and same thing is like, you know, study body language, study all that stuff. And so that's what I do. Like, I size people up constantly. Sometimes I have to shut it off because I'm like, it doesn't mean what you think. Like the whole crossing your arms thing, sometimes that's just comfortable. That doesn't mean they actually hate you. So, but
yeah, it doesn't mean everything's about to go sideways.
No, not at all. And so, yeah, anyway, yeah, psychology's great. Read a ton. It's awesome.
Is it hard when you and Tex are in that dual directing mode? Because I would imagine it sounds like you put a lot of prep work into your stuff. And I could see it being a challenge if you have this idea of how this is all going to pan out and he has a separate idea, trying to mesh those.
We usually will meet up beforehand. It depends on the project. Like, if it's his thing, then he has full creative.
He's taking the lead.
It's all him. Like, and he'll ask me during, like, we filmed something for his TikTok where it was really hard for me, but I wasn't the one filming and I wasn't the one directing, but I was just there to support him because he was directing this TikTok. It was a whole zombie thing that he came up with that was nuts.
I think I saw a couple thoughts on that. Is that on your Instagram?
That's on his Instagram and on his TikTok. I think it's simply Tex. I always get it wrong. I don't know. But that was his thing. And so I just showed up on the day and I got to watch him just be a boss. And he told me, he's like, well, I learned from the best. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, if you feel successful from working with me, freaking awesome. Like, love it. But there was several times where I wanted to be like, I would have done it like this. I would have done it like that. And then he'll see that. But that's a me thing. That's an ego thing. I got to keep in check because, again, I'm there to serve somebody else's vision. And I just know, like, from my end of things is I know how to make things epic. And if the person doesn't think from the perspective like of a DP or whatever it is, they're not going to know how to emphasize certain moments. Like, you've got like, no, I'm not going to go into that. But the director stuff. If it's his project, he does that. If it's my project that I wrote and all that stuff, then I'll direct it. Or if I feel like he would serve what I wrote better, if he directed it, then I'll allow him to do it. It just depends. Like, I don't need to be in charge of everything, and I don't want to be. And so we have this good balance of talking to each other about, like, if we shoot a commercial or something, I wrote it, but he'd be better at directing that subject matter, then I let him do it. And I don't say anything unless he asks me, what would you do in this situation? But I never jump in there and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do it like this. And and it's not my thing. So yeah, we're pretty good about it. It took some time to get there for sure. But once we learned each other's like styles of communication and stuff, then we're pretty on it most of the time.
Yeah, just trial and error, figuring out where that balance lies. Yeah,
it's just like a relationship. You just have to work through it and figure it out and stuff. And so, yeah, I just, for me, like when I'm directing stuff though, I don't like it when my flow gets interrupted, especially if I'm super passionate about, like, we've got some stuff that we're working on now where I know he won't be able to direct it because he hasn't gone through the situations that I wrote about. And so you don't want to put somebody in the director's chair that doesn't understand the subject matter if they haven't been through it, because they're going to tell it in a way that's like not true to what it is, like especially what we're writing right now. And so some of the stuff, but yeah, we're pretty good about it for the most part.
When you're coming up with a script for one of these skits that you guys are doing, what does that look like?
Chaos. It's a lot of jitterbing actually. So if it's with Tex, because I work at Manitoba's 2 Street Music part-time, because they allow me just to do my thing. Because, up here, the filming world really isn't like a big thing. I can't do it full time yet. If I was down south, absolutely. But like the Manitobas have been like so good with my schedule and all that stuff because I'm gone a lot from the store, but it's like a consistent thing and yada, yada, yada. Creative people know. But Tex will just show up randomly to the store and he'll be like, I have an idea. Like, what is it? And then he'll tell me, I'm like, dude, dope. And then I'll just start like writing it out because that's usually how it works is he'll have the main idea and then I will go in and like write the script for it and stuff. And then he'll make little tweaks, be like, hey, can we say it like this? Like, absolutely. And it's a ton of fun. Like, I love getting together with people and just writing. It's a lot of fun for me to do that. And so, and he'll call me randomly, like in the middle of the night too, and just be like, dude, I had this idea. And I'm like, bro, trying to sleep. But then if it's a good idea, I'm like, oh shit. And then we'll just start going with it.
Down really fast.
Exactly. Because I tell people constantly, dude, if you come up with an idea and I don't even care what it is. If you think, oh, no, it's not going to be great. Write it freaking down now. Because there's been so many things that I've thought of where I'm like, oh, this would have been sick. And I never wrote it down. And then I think about it like years later and then somebody else did it. I'm like, shit. Like I had this whole idea for a show, this Netflix show. And this blew so hard. It was this show that I had an idea for. I wrote out the scripts and all that stuff for it. It was going to be like a season long. I wrote it, sent it over to this guy that was reading over my scripts to help me format better and how to have better grammar because I was homeschooled. Things fell through the cracks, yada, yada, yada. We can get to that if we want to. But then after I sent him these scripts, I didn't hear from him for a while. And I was like,
oh, no.
Dude, what's going on here? And I kept writing him. I'm like, hey, what's up? I never heard back about these scripts, yada, yada, yada. A couple years later, that idea is on Netflix. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And then so I look up who's on like all the credits and all that stuff, and he's there. And I was just like, dude, that's so messed up.
Did you reach out? Do you still have those emails where you could reach out to Netflix and say, hey,
I do.
By the way.
But it's just like one of those things of, do I want to go through that much effort and just battle this out and stuff? Because I can prove the emails and all that stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I actually haven't really talked about it ever since now, to be honest with you. So that's kind of interesting. I just haven't felt the need to, because just there's like been this voice that's been like, don't do it. I usually listen to my intuition because I know when something's up. And so I'm just like, I'm not going to battle it out because I don't want to have that stress. So, but it was some bullshit for sure. Like I was so stoked on the idea, and then it was executed terribly. It was horrible.
Oh, that just makes it that much worse.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to go in a hole and cry. But like, it was like, because I had this, it was going to be this dark thing that I just like darker stuff. And so that's just more intense and real. And so it was this idea, but it was going to be this fantasy thing. And I just
Can you say what it was?
No. I could tell you when we're done for sure.
We'll
absolutely. Yeah, I can absolutely tell you. But yeah, so it was just annoying. And but anyway, yeah. So the writing process
drive me insane. You have a very healthy perspective of being.
I don't want to
zen with it.
Yeah,
but still, I would be. Let's burn this shit down.
Yeah, and that's how I absolutely want to do that. But then in situations like that, I just ask myself, okay, what is it actually going to do? And if I can't do anything about it, then why am I going to allow this situation to have the permission to have power over me and my emotions? Because I don't want to be reactionary to it. And so I try to be like that constantly. Like I'm pretty good with that most of the time, but there's some times where I'm just like, oh, it's on. But yeah. But yeah, that's why I don't really send scripts to people anymore unless I absolutely trust him. And I have like an audio file where they're saying, I'm not going to use this for my own gain and stuff. And so, or sign an NDA or whatever it is, some kind of waiver. With text, I never worry about that because, I mean, I think we do have a video where we're talking about how we're never going to like steal each other's ideas and run with it without each other. And that's kind of like the brotherhood that we've developed is, I always tell him where I go, you go. And like, that's how it's always been. And so our writing process though it's just chaotic, but so much fun. Because he brings that whimsical, crazy side, and then I'm like all right, now we need to sit down and just organize all this stuff. And I can be like that too, but I'm a little bit older than him, so I kind of understand like how to harness that a little bit better.
You can focus the scope a little bit more.
Yeah, but if I get an idea and I'm like banana sandwich about it, like, and you can even ask my girlfriend, like I will go nuts with the idea. I'll walk around the house like pacing all over the place. I'm like, okay, if we do this way, and then it is, oh my god, this is so dope if we do this. And she's like, okay, have you written it down? No, not yet. Well, you need to start doing that. And so like, if I'm super passionate about the idea, I like, we'll just get the whole thing out verbally and then forget to write it down. And it just sounds awesome and everything. But that's why I'm way better about, okay, the moment I start thinking it, like I just bring out my phone and just start writing it down. And then I back that up on the cloud and all that stuff just in case. So, but yeah, that's how we do things.
Well, that guy doesn't have that.
Right.
You can take comfort in that because that's why he had to steal somebody else's shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that. And karma catches up eventually.
I hope so. I hope it does. But then again, it's like, I want to ask him, why did you feel the need to do that? Like, why did you think that? Because he can't come
up with his own shit. That's exactly why.
If you could find him for me.
I have gotten pretty good at digging, so
okay, yeah.
I could have been a private investigator.
I will tell you when we're done what his name is, and then you can hunt him down. And then if he goes missing just randomly, then I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just cut that part out of the play, I guess.
Yeah.
It's impressive that hasn't made you jaded or a little more cautious of working with somebody else.
It has, in a sense, like there's been quite a few things where it's been a lot of almosts, and that has made some things jaded a little bit. And I have to be very aware of that because, one of the things is when I meet certain people, like, oh, we should work together sometime. We should do this, and this. And all I'm hearing is like, I lack the actual consistency to do something with you. And I'm just saying this because this is the thing to say in the moment. And so I'm just going to cater to the moment right now and just say whatever. Like, I'm pretty good about being aware of that. And I get it too. It's like, again, you got to play the game. I get it. And so, but yeah, there have been opportunities where, man, I've missed because I thought that they were just that situation all over again. Like, I had one opportunity where I was asked to be the assistant engineer for somebody that does some big like Disney movies, like the audio stuff. And at the time I was like, oh no, that's not real. That's stupid. And it's a dear friend of mine was like, no, like he wants to see if you'd be willing to do this if you want to, because this is a great opportunity. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I know this is going to just turn into this and doing the self-sabotaging thing. And then it was like a real situation, a real job. And I'm like, crap, dang it. And it's because of that situation with the script, because I was just like, no, people are just going to use and abuse me. I don't want to, I'm good. And then turns out that it's become all these amazing movies and stuff. And he's killing it right now. I'm like, shit. So yeah, that's something I've had to work on too.
You just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, how often does that happen in the industry?
Not
people
often.
Just ripping shit off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that ripping shit off for sure. And it's just, I mean, that's why, with people down there, like there's a lot of really, really good people. Like I work with some, like this group of guys right now where down south where they're phenomenal. Like they're the most consistent, like they're always there for me and they're doing amazing stuff. Like, and they're trying to get me to move down there, but I mean, I got a family here and stuff, and I love being here, and I have the dream of being able to just fly down and do the stuff down there and coming back. And that's what I want to do. Like, I hate LA with a passion. I hate being there as far as a long amount of time. I don't mind visiting occasionally. Like, Malibu is great. Love being out there. And like, there's a lot more food and good food and all that jazz. But I can't see like having a life there. It's just so chaotic and crazy.
Well, especially now, it's kind of just falling apart at the seams.
Oh my God. Like last time I went there, I was just driving around and it just was solidifying. I definitely don't want to be here. And everybody that lives there, fantastic, great. If it's your lifestyle, awesome. But I also like coming home to where I can just find peace and rest and have my time, and I don't have to struggle to make ends meet. I don't have to work 8 different jobs. Like I know people that do that. It's like they work 8 different jobs, and I ask constantly, like, for what? For
just to afford rent.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's like I hear what rent is like $2,800 to $3,500 for like a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm like, dude, that's insane. Like I don't want to do that. And so LA is just insane. But anyway, the guys that I work with down there are super consistent and love them. They've given me some amazing opportunities and followed through on that. And so that kind of healed that situation. Because there was another one too, where I was going on a multi-million-dollar like recording studio deal and was going to build this massive production house where we like trained producers, directors, DPs, all this stuff under one house. And it was like during the COVID time. And, we had like I went down south and met with a couple people and pitched the idea. We were going to buy the space out, and it's already been built and ready to go, and it's just sitting here secretly now. And like all these people were in on it, and then when COVID hit, everybody just dropped the idea, and it was just like gut wrenching because the people that were going to be a part of it were awesome. Like one of the engineers that he's still living. He assisted some of the Beatles recordings, and I met with his team and I was like, hey, I want to do this thing where we, if people can't afford to go to college to learn how to do film school or do audio stuff, like we can do this thing where we teach them for free. Like, I don't know how we make it work, but we teach them for free and then give them job opportunities. And like, we take a percentage of whatever it is. I'm not good at the business side of it, but I just had this massive dream, and he was in on it and like a couple of other people. And then it just went south of the border real quick. It was just like COVID hit and destroyed everything. And that was the one that kind of took a massive toll. And it took like, I'll be honest, like a couple years to recover from that, because I was so stoked on it. It was bringing in like some amazing heavy hitters and stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just like, nope, just kidding. Like, damn you.
Through
COVID.
no fault of your own.
No.
Just because
they got
some
scared.
Pandemic happened.
Yeah, they got scared because, and it was for good reason too. They absolutely got scared because they weren't sure it was going to be viable, because everybody was in lockdown and all that stuff. And it's just like, nobody wants to be around each other. We're told to stay inside, all that stuff. And I got it. It just hurt a lot because I just had this, like, I just want everybody to be successful in whatever it is that you do. Like, I hate when people have excuses of, I can't do this because of this, this, and this. And it just drives me nuts because I was there all the time and I wasted so much time with excuses, being like, yeah, I can't do this because yada, yada, yada. It's like we have so many tools and resources at our disposal right now. And why aren't we using them? Like, there's no reason why you can't do what it is that you want to do. It's just you're in your own way and you need to get out of the way. And so that was kind of like a part of that situation too. I was just, I don't know. It was crazy. Yeah, I've had a couple things like that.
So many people are stuck in that mindset.
Yeah.
If I can't do it because of X, Y, and Z, it's not going to happen for me because I wasn't born into it or I don't have these advantages. So why even try?
Yeah, and that drives me nuts. It's because it's all learned stuff. It comes back to how you were raised. And I think that if you're in a family unit where they encourage, dreaming big, but not camping in the dream world, but turning that into a vision and making it a reality. Like, how do we do that and teaching that process? I mean, like with my childhood and stuff, we were very, told, no, you can't do this and yada, 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 yada. And so it took me years to get over that. And now I'm like, okay, let's go for it. Like, I've got access to people and stuff, and I don't take advantage of that, but I have a strong idea or something I believe in 100%. I go to the people and I'm like, hey, I believe in this thing. What do you think? Can we possibly make this work? Because I don't want to use some stupid excuse from a trauma in my past. And so one thing I tell Tex and my guys constantly is, it's not the lack of resources, it's the lack of resourcefulness. If you want it that bad, then find a way to do it. And so what the studio stuff that I was talking about just now is, when I pitch to all these people, I pitch to them like, I film weddings. I can help pay for a little bit of the rent on this multi-million-dollar studio. I could do this, this, and this. And that's why people were sold on it, is because I was coming to the table with this massive dream and this vision, and I was willing to do whatever to serve it. And they saw that and they wanted to run with it because they can get behind the person that was going to do that. And it was just, anyway, with excuses like that, I tell people all the time, okay, let's find the root of that. Why are you lying to yourself right now? Why are you telling yourself you can't do it? Well, because I don't have the resource. Okay, well, find somebody that does and learn from them. I have a friend that has access to some amazing people, and they've said several times, hey, if you want to do this, this, and this, let us know. And then he just doesn't do it. And I'm like, dude, if they're giving you the permission and the stuff to reach out to them to do these amazing things, do it. What are you scared of? And a lot of it's being scared of success and being successful and all that stuff. But it's like, if the universe provides these opportunities to you and you're scared, do it. Like, because fear is like the biggest liar. Fear is like the biggest bitch. And it's like, obviously fear, like bears attacking you and all that stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen The Revenant.
Yeah, that's real
good
fear.
Fear. Yeah, that's really good
you
fear.
experience that fear, and it's something different than not wanting to try.
Exactly, because it's the fear of the unknown. And so, like, I always tell people, like, if you don't know what's going to happen, freaking do it. You got one life. Like, I forgot what it was. Like, you have 70-something Christmases, 70-something Thanksgivings, maybe at the most, or whatever it is. Like, why not fill that time up with dreaming big and doing the things that you actually want to do? And so, like, whoever I work with, and I start seeing like these trends of them coming up with lies for themselves, or what, even in like my own family and stuff, is like, well, I never got to do this. It's like, well, because you said no to you. You didn't say yes to you. And it's conditioned stuff that you have to retrain your brain and to get out of, but it's worth the work. Like, I've worked so hard on eliminating excuses and stuff, because again, that's how I was raised, was I can't do this. I have to just get a regular job, have a family, and die. That's how I was raised. And then it clicked one day. I'm like, no, this is bullshit. Like, I want to do things that actually matter, things that mean, and people that do that stuff, great. But it's just, I think there's something in everybody where they want to do something epic and huge and big and whatever it is. It could be like a farmer or whatever it is, but make excuses for themselves. And it's just, I want to help people get out of that rut of just making up lies that they can't do it. Like, it's so sad to watch really creative, talented people just put themselves in a box and not go anywhere with it. And so if I can help eliminate that fear and that lie, I'm going to. Like, even if I have to be a hard ass about it, like, you can ask Tex or anybody that works with me, is the one thing is I'm very honest, and it's out of love. And sometimes I need to deliver it better, but it's because I see you and I see the thing that you want to do. And I want to push you to do that thing, because you're going to regret it if you don't. And it's that classic case of, you get to the end of your life and you don't want to be that person that's like, I wish I would have done that thing. And do it. Because what are you going to do? Fail? Great. Then you learned. Congratulations.
That's the best motivator.
Yeah.
Because if you can frame it as, are you okay regretting not doing it?
Yeah,
are you okay getting to the end of your life?
I love how you put that. Absolutely.
Having to face that.
Yep. And so that's it right there. And I have to challenge myself every day with that. Cause like when I'm doing my own stuff is like, I mean, you have that internal dialogue where I don't think it's a worthy idea. I don't think I'm not going to do that. Blah, blah, blah. And so then I talk to myself out loud and be like, okay, listen, why do you think that? Like I'll dissect the whole thing. And like even when I'm journaling, like I'll ask myself questions of, okay, why do you believe this lie? Like I'll write it down. Like you believe that you can't film this short film because what is it? And then I'll read the excuse and I just realize, okay, that's stupid. And you're going to get over that right now and just walk that whole process out. And so, yeah.
And you have to be willing to sacrifice. I think that's the part that trips up a lot of people. If you want to just have the thing done, but you don't want to go through the struggle of actually doing it.
Yeah, that is huge. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Like I've sacrificed so much, social life stuff or whatever it is, but I don't regret it. Like I love filming and I love doing what I do. And when I started dating my girlfriend now, like that was the first conversation that we had was, like I'm very vocal about this is like, I don't want to just be that average person. I want to actually matter. I want to do something where I leave a legacy where it's, okay, Justin was known because he encouraged people to follow their dreams because this is what he did and yada, yada, yada. Like I told her like, this is what I want. It is to be that person. And so like, I want to be I don't know if you know who Rick Rubin is at all. But,
yeah.
Okay. Rick Rubin. Like I want to be the Rick Rubin of my groups that I'm in where
that's
I'm
a
like,
great goal to have.
He is a
something
boss.
else.
I love that guy. And so, like even for projects, like I've been flown out and stuff just to sit in a room with people, like literally that is just sit around and just be there, to help encourage stuff and then like kind of guide sessions or whatever it is that we're doing. Because apparently being in my presence helps and I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll do that. That's fine. But like the dreaming thing is like, that was so huge for me with my girlfriend now. And she's super encouraging of that. Like she's always like, hey, did you write today? Like, how's your heart doing? Like, how are you making sure that you're making time to do filming and this, yada, yada, yada. And she's super encouraging. But even I was scared about getting in a relationship because I'm like, I don't want to be tied down. Like, I need to do my stuff. And so, but she's been a boss with that. Like, she's kicked ass with being encouraging and allowing me just to be me. And so that I kind of try to instill with everybody else. And if that makes sense. So.
It's hard finding somebody that can understand that isn't equally in the trenches of doing it. You know?
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know the circumstances of your girlfriend, but when you're talking to someone who just works a 9 to 5, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just interesting seeing how much time they have after that. And obviously, they fill it with other things. They watch Netflix. They have chores. They do normal human stuff. But then cut to you staying up till 4 a.m, editing, hunched over a computer.
Yeah, looking like Gollum, like,
you're like, I can't go out on a Friday night because I've got 6 hours worth of footage I have to work through, and nobody else is going to come and do that for me.
Right.
So I got to sacrifice and sit here and do it. It's hard to understand that if you're not equally as charged for some pursuit that you're engaged in.
Yeah, that's super good. Like, it's hard to get along with people like that where it's just where they do the average thing because they don't understand. And so, but I also find that super interesting because then the psychology part of me just kind of opens up and is like, okay, so why is that person that way? That just fascinates me. It's like, why do you go out and party all the time and do all that stuff? And do fun. Because it's fun. Yeah, it's a temporary thing.
Going out on a Friday night is way better than scrubbing through hours of footage.
That I will agree with. Like, it's not until recently, like, and I'll be legit honest, where I just started going out doing stuff occasionally because I've just been behind editing computers and stuff. And like, not to say that I don't go out and hike. Like, I love being outdoors. Like, that's a huge thing for me is just being outside. Like, I love camping. I love all of that stuff. But I've never been a party animal. I've never done really much of anything. And so it wasn't until recently where I'm like going out dancing and like learning, oh, this is fun. And like a DP friend of mine said, you want to be better at filmmaking, go watch people in real life and go do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like he said he went on a trip for, I think it was like a year and a half where he just said yes to everything. Kind of like the Yes Man movie or whatever it was. He just said yes to everything, and he lived so much life within that 1 year because he was kind of like me. And so he's been like encouraging me to go out and do stuff more and like be in reality because and like even having a family now, it's like, okay, I want to make sure I make the time for that stuff, and we go and do things. And I have to be very aware of my creative brain in those times, because I'm thinking, okay, I could be doing this and I could be editing this and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, it's fun going out went to, what is it, 707 or whatever, like for the first time a couple months ago, and played pool and stuff, never going back. Because it's just like, well, it's also fascinating because going in that situation, it's fun watching just the games being played in general, like the different, like I say everything's a game, but it's not, but it's just fun to watch how people operate around each other. Like, it's just, I really don't like that bar. But.
Especially when alcohol is involved.
Dude,
you're watching social scenes play out. It's entertaining.
Yeah, especially when you're kicking their ass at pool and then they're like, oh no, you got lucky. I'm like, no, you're drunk. Like, and I'm just better than you. But I mean, I don't ever say that out because I don't want to get punched. I can't fight. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that can happen at 707 too.
Dude, oh yeah. Every time I've been there's always been something. And I just can't hang. I'm good. I'd rather just like get together with people and like have like bourbon and all that stuff, just sitting around and having a conversation, like it's in somewhere chill than going to 707. But yeah, nothing against those people. It scares me there. So
it's hard turning off that work part of your brain though.
Yeah.
I find myself still constantly in that where you can't even pull yourself out of your work to go do the thing because you know that when you're doing the thing, you're just going to be thinking about work. So it's better to just do the work.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then suffer and do the other thing.
Yeah. Have you found something that helps you in that process?
No, I'm still very deep in just doing the work. My life is still just consumed with the work aspect, but I'm also still, in that grind phase where it's just, you just got to sacrifice and you just do the thing. And every second you have, you funnel into doing the thing.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't the healthiest way to approach it.
No.
But you don't hear people who are incredibly successful at their chosen craft.
Right.
And they're saying, oh yeah, balance, take a night off. The work will still be there. None of them say
None
that.
of them.
They all say, yeah, it's going to suck and you're going to keep your head down and you're going to grind and you're going to sacrifice and maybe you'll get to that point.
Yeah. Maybe. That's like a huge thing. But yeah, because I'm the same way. It's just, it wasn't until recently where I started not editing until 4 a.m. And like after I got my girlfriend and we have our family and stuff, it's just, I've learned sleep is amazing. Oh my God, it's phenomenal. But I will have those nights where I stay up and if I have to get it done, it has to get done. And there's that understanding that that just has to happen. And especially if it's like a project that I'm doing for like a client down south or like a commercial or something up here, like I want to get it done ASAP because it's just, you need quick turnarounds. And sometimes I'll sacrifice evenings of chill for that, and that's fine. And there's an understanding of that. But I also value the hell out of that time because I never realized like, oh, rest is so nice and saying no to things is freaking phenomenal. So I think the biggest thing I have to work on with me though is, turning my brain off when I'm out doing things. And because people know like when I'm checked out, especially my girlfriend or text or something, like they'll recognize like, oh, he's not here right now because I'm thinking about doing this and getting something done. And so I have to be very aware of that. And I've been practicing being present way more than I used to in the past. Because again, like I love listening to people and being there with people. But when I get in creative mode, I just check out. Like I'll just start being like, hey, yeah. And then just not even pay attention to what's going on anymore.
Yeah, start running off on a tangent of some idea you have.
Yeah, exactly. I'll even do it in conversations. I mean, you've probably seen that already. But like I'll just start going off on whatever it is. And then I have to remember, okay, ground yourself, man. Like I'm really practicing that a lot lately. It's just being present and making sure that I'm there with the person. But sometimes I majorly fail at that. Yeah.
Do you think your girlfriend has helped with that? Adding a little perspective to it all?
Yes. 100%, because I wasn't aware of some of the stuff that I needed to work on as far as being present. And I read all the books, but when it comes to actually practicing it, it's been way interesting because like she'll be like, hey, where are you at right now? Well, oh crap. And then like it's helped a lot anchor me for sure. Because like I worked way too hard. I think like 7 months ago, I had like a massive panic attack. I've never experienced those before. And I thought I was dying, but then come to find out, it was just like, I talked to my doctor and she's like, it's all of the late night editing. It's the stress. It's this, and that. You were having close to 900 milligrams of caffeine every day. You were doing this. I'm like,
that'll do it.
Yeah, it was so bad, dude. Like, that whole situation sucked. Like, it took until now to really balance out again, because I was so just scared from that panic attack, because I was just doing way too much, and literally thought I was having a heart attack. Called the ambulance and stuff, and I was like, I'm having a heart attack. It was a shitty situation. She's like, where are you? Because I used to live out in Hinesville, and like, I gave her the address and everything, and she's like, it's not showing up on our maps. I'm like, wait, what do you mean it's not showing up on your maps? And I was like, I'm having a heart attack. I mean, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drive myself to the hospital. And you shouldn't do that. We'll come and get you. I'm like, no, you can't even find me. You're like, yeah. And then, so I ended up doing that and found out, it was just due to doing way too much, not being present. And so I'm very aware of that now. It's just practicing that. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass for sure. Like, we'll be out on days or something, and I'll just be thinking about movie ideas or whatever it is, projects, and she'll be like, where are you? Like, sorry, my bad. So
yeah, you never know how it pans out, is the hard part. Because if you knew, if I work this extra night and stay up, maybe it'll lead to something else. You never know how far away you are from achieving the thing.
Totally.
And so you could take that and you could push it off. But is that setting you back 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? Or would you be okay? Could you take that night out and enjoy life and not be stressed so you don't have a heart attack?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm way better about it now that that's happened. It's taught me so much, like, because I would rather be healthy and sane than sacrificing so much time just for an almost situation. Like, okay, if I stayed up and did this, is it going to lead to possibly like that situation or whatever it is? And I'm just very aware of it now. And it's also a thing of, if that opportunity gets missed, I just remind myself that maybe it's for a good reason. Like, I would have rather had that night watching the Barbie movie and having like that genuine connection than a possibility of something maybe happening. Because if like I believe in God and stuff, like if God wants it to happen, then it will happen and it's time. And I'm just going to focus on that. Like, if it's supposed to happen, then it will show up eventually. And so I try to remain in that state. It's just, because I don't want to be that I'll hustle for sure. And I do, but not at the expense of my health and stuff. I'm very adamant about that now. So.
That's a healthy perspective to have.
Yeah, it wasn't I didn't get there for a while, but now I'm very persistent about making sure that I have like my me time and stuff, and making sure that I'm taken care of. Like, I have to work out. If I don't do that, I go crazy. And like today was arms and chest and stuff, and I was just like not feeling great, and I go work out. I'm like, yeah, here we go. I feel better now. So yeah, if I don't have that time, it drives me nuts. So yeah,
I think that's been my one saving grace in terms of health, is that I enjoy working out. So I normally get at least 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
because any less than that, and you go to the gym, and it's just terrible,
so bad.
So that's health-wise, that's been good. I think I could still work on the social aspect of realizing going out with your friends one night, or seeing some friends, or doing something with your family is not going to kill you.
Exactly.
But then you're just thinking about the work.
Well, is this all you do? Like, what else do you do?
I have a day job.
Okay, what do you do?
Construction, freelance stuff, not related to this.
Oh, dope.
So it's work, the gym, or I'm here doing this.
Okay.
That's like my whole day.
Yeah. So how often do you do these? Like,
as often as I can.
Okay.
It depends on how much prep goes into it, and then I have to edit it on the back end. So I try to space. Ideally, it would be 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah.
Maybe more would be better.
Shoot,
definitely better, but it's the workworkload on the back end that kind of trips me up sometimes.
Yeah. Have you thought about hiring an editor to help you out?
I'm not at that point yet. I'm still at I can't buy my time yet.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I'm still
I get that.
back end.
Yeah, that's it's nice when you can hire stuff out. I've done it a couple times where the workload has just been way too much, and then I'll just hand stuff off to people, and it's great. So I don't do it all the time, especially with like our short films and wedding stuff that we do. Especially when I know the vision and how it needs to be, then I'll do pretty much everything. But if I feel like, okay, somebody else needs to touch this and do it, then I'll hire that out. But yeah, and with this, are you trying to go like full-time podcasting, or?
I mean, that would be great if that
yeah.
went out, you know.
What are you doing for that as far as marketing yourself?
That's the challenge. I fairly recently, which is not great, but started getting into the short game, doing TikToks, stuff like that, and that gets traction. But it's just you have to do that consistently. You have to do that day in and day out. You got to post shorts. You got to post clips. I need to buy a marketing book and like really dedicate some time to actually learning that art.
It's so hard to find something that, because it's always changing. Like all that stuff is always evolving.
Yeah, one day the algorithm's doing this, the next you got to change and do these hashtags or something, or switch to this style.
Right. I just decided one day to say fuck it to the algorithm, because I mean, even with the people that I work with and do stuff and post for, like I just stay consistent with what it is that I'm doing and stop focusing so much on the algorithm. Like with my wedding stuff, I'll post like, well, with the hashtag wedding film, wedding videographer, yada, yada, yada. But that's pretty much where I keep it. And I don't go around like putting way too much effort into that stuff, because what small audience that I have, they're really consistent, and I'd rather just do that. And then the word of mouth thing goes out and I get work. And so it's just kind of like, but I saw that you were posting like more shorts and stuff on YouTube, and which is great. And like, how do you choose the thing like for each short? Are you just like, okay, that's a good soundbite when you're talking to the person? You're like, oh, okay, that's dope, I need to write that down. Or?
I have I'll watch back through the podcast and clip things, but I still haven't figured out what the magic secret is in that. Because I've clipped things thinking, oh, this is gonna rip. Yeah. And it gets like 5 views. Yeah. And then you clip something that's like, oh, okay, like I'll put this out, and it just tears it up. Yeah. And I haven't quite figured out the magic in that yet. So
what's been something that's really kind of popped off?
I had one the other day that just popped off on Instagram, and it was like a 5-second quote this guy was saying on the podcast. And I didn't think, and he said some quote about, you know, the greatest sin of life is going to your grave with your music still trapped inside of you.
Damn.
And I didn't think anything of that. I just clipped that because I was like, oh, that's a cool quote. Yeah. And threw it up, and it just
blew up.
Just ripped.
Yeah, that's, I mean, goes back to what's going to resonate with your audience.
See, that's the challenge, though, is I'm constantly pissing off my audience, which probably
Why?
Because the content of this varies so much. Yeah. Like, we're talking about this right now. Yesterday, I was talking to a meteorologist about tornadoes.
Oh, I just started watching that before I came over here. Yeah. I haven't gone through all yet.
I like going into some controversy because I'm interested about a lot of things. So I'll post some controversial clips. Yeah. And so, you gain a couple hundred subscribers, but then you lose a couple hundred the next day. And there's no, you know, when they say, oh, if you're going to start something, find a niche and just play to your niche.
Right. But you're like,
I'm not doing that. You don't want to do that. No. I went the opposite way and just started playing to a ton of different things.
I'm in favor of you not finding just a niche and that's it. Like I tell everybody,
think it's better that
it's
way.
Way better, because if people can expect the same thing, I even tell that to like musicians and stuff. If people expect the same thing, it's just gonna get so boring. Like people want to watch you evolve. That's what people resonate with, is when you're constantly just reinventing yourself and figuring things out about yourself and just like bringing people in on the process. Like that's huge. Like I love the fact that you've had certain people on and stuff. Like I watched, was it Cladworthy? What's his name?
Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon. Yeah. So like I watched a little bit of that, especially when you hit to the homeless stuff, because I was like, I work in Old Town, and
you're in the face of it.
I almost got freaking stabbed today. That was great. But it's just like I deal with that stuff constantly, and so I'm like watching like his perspective on that, and like we fundamentally disagree on that kind of stuff. But it's just like, I love how diverse that you go with stuff. Like you had, I think Bethany, oh my gosh, how do you say her last name? She's a pastor, from Arcata, but you had her on, then you had Eli and all that stuff. And it's so good to have all of that stuff because
Bethany actually was Scott's podcast. Shout out to Scott, 100% Humboldt.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. That was, pretty awesome.
Yeah. He films in here too. So it can get a little, you see the same background and you're like,
so it's the same. Okay. Got it. Oh, are you like,
I started renting out the studio, quite a while ago. It's just something to, you know, add a little extra income to the
super good
expenditure of this project.
Yeah, no, that's super good. Yeah, it's no, I love that you're diverse and all that stuff. It's awesome, and I think that that's the niche right there. Is just being able to have conversations with people that you completely disagree with, or whatever it is, or even agree with, and just being able to have like a respectful dialogue. Because I love that is when I can get together with somebody and we're like, dude, we're so opposite, but we're still choosing to just like have connection and respectfully have a conversation and stuff. So what's been an episode where you've really had like a lot of pushback? Because like that's the one I kind of want to see.
Any of the trans stuff goes a little, can get dicey.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I've only really had one where it got hot between me and the guest.
Okay.
That one went a little sideways.
Did you post it or like?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still do it. Okay.
I've been fortunate. So now, I mean, I've had a couple that I didn't release in the beginning because the guest wasn't, after the fact wasn't jiving with it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just everything goes out.
Yeah.
And I don't edit it because I don't want people thinking, hey, did he cut something?
Oh, totally.
Is
yeah.
he, like fiddling or something? So that can get a little painful because you do one and it sucks and you're like, I gotta fucking put this out there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the same thing. Like when I did my podcast I didn't cut anything because I wanted it to be real and all that stuff. And I pissed some people off too. It wasn't even about bad stuff. It was like, I think we were talking about aliens one time. Just went off on a tangent about that, like how we don't know. Like you can think all day long, like, oh, there's only human beings. Yada, yada. I said something about like the moment that you decide that you think, or that you think you understand God and the creation and all that stuff and think that that's it. That's when you have a very small mind. And I pissed quite a lot of people off because it's like, we have no idea any of that stuff. And so that's the extent I've gone. I haven't gone as brutal as
it's so easy to piss people off online.
Yeah.
You just have to breathe into the microphone and somebody's going to get mad.
100%. Yeah. It's really annoying. So kudos to you for putting yourself out there and having these conversations because I think they're crucial. Like I love the fact that you're doing this because when I saw your stuff come up, a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, this dude's going to try to become the next Joe Rogan of Humboldt County. Let's go.
Like, yeah, you can tell that it's very, I've definitely been influenced by Rogan. I mean, that was
why not?
A huge podcast that I listened to still listen to. I mean, I've consumed a lot of that content.
Yeah, same. So what are your go-to podcasts? Is it Joe?
It's Joe. I don't know if you know The Brilliant Idiots.
I've heard of it.
That's a fun one.
Okay.
Breaking Points is more of a news one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of my three that I'm always cycling through.
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah. And that's smart of you to like rent this place out too. That's super dope. And like so you want to do this full time and then so that's helping you get to that point. But is there like other stuff that you're like super passionate about?
Yeah, I want to get into, shooting short films I think would be
Do you
great.
really?
Yeah, I've done some acting work and really enjoyed it and put that kind of on the side to do this.
Do you have anything out?
No.
Or do you and you're just hiding it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I've had some... No, nothing's out there. I was thinking like...
I know, I just like, wait a minute.
I did... Nothing acting-wise. I did, before doing this quite a few years ago when I was still in college. No.
Okay.
I missed out on that way. I am on Feet Finder, though, so if you want my QR code.
Same. For real. Yeah, I'm doing really well there, actually.
Yeah. Helps pay the bills, you know.
You have
pay
to pay
rent.
the bills.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
100%. I'm not going to judge. So, yeah.
I did do I was moto vlogging for a while.
Okay.
That was kind of the precursor to actually doing the podcast. And then I realized, I can't keep a conversation going with myself, so we gotta change this format.
Yeah, and has it been like smooth sailing with this, or have you like had some like, what have you done to prep yourself to be able to have conversations with people, like with asking questions and all that jazz? Like, so was that a skill that you've always had, or what did you do to get good at that?
I don't think I'm good at it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you think that you need to work on?
Everything.
If you don't mind me asking, I don't want to like...
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
everything.
Pulling the mask off.
No,
I
exactly.
think everything. I think there's so much to still work on.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping coherent conversations going.
Yeah.
I think everybody is interesting. You just have to find the thing that they're interesting about.
Yeah.
And so I've done a lot of bad podcasts where you're just kind of pulling and not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just an hour of...
Just like,
cool. Just looking at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Those are so hard. I had that happen a couple times with people that I interviewed.
Those are painful.
Oh my God. Yeah. I thought like I'd bring on a guest and I thought they were going to be killing it because they're big on social media and yada, yada, yada. And I deleted so many because they just couldn't follow through. They were great at doing like the 15-second, 20-second thing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks. So yeah. And so, okay. So what are the, like, let's say 3 things. If you were going to say 3 things that you absolutely need to work, so it's the keeping conversations going, like asking questions kind of thing, or like, what do you think is your top 3?
My top 3 areas of improvement.
Yes. I'm glad that you can interpret what I'm trying to say.
No, that was no. Yeah. Well, I was just kind of repeating it to get my brain going here.
Yeah.
Not using filler words is always a challenge, and not adding unnecessary filler. So fluff words like yes or okay,
right?
Or, oh, that's interesting. Just things that are just noises that I'm kind of giving to the guest, but when you play back the audio, they just take away from the conversation. That's a big one.
Yep.
I think I still have to improve. I'm not satisfied with the lighting, so this is more of a studio thing. So I'm still tweaking the setup a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one counts.
I can. Yeah. Yeah. I'll say it. Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if I've exactly dialed in my prep work. I don't know what that would look like if I did dial it in.
Yeah.
Still feel like that's an area of improvement, is coming in prepared, however that looks to the conversation. I've been bitten in the ass a couple times where I knew enough to hang myself and then walked right into the noose in the conversation.
Yep.
Those are rough podcasts.
Oh, man.
And I think not getting emotional, I think, is probably the biggest one. Because sometimes you're having a heated conversation, and if the guest is going sideways, I'll start going sideways, and it just...
Yeah.
I can get a little heated if we're talking about some of the trans stuff or something like that. It's just... It's not even heated. It just can get a little uncomfortable in the room, and then maybe people start shutting down. It takes away from the conversation.
Oh,
so
man.
Working on just keeping it, even though we're talking about something difficult, keeping it light.
Yeah.
To some extent.
So what's your anchor in those situations to pull you out of? So would you say you're a emotional person, like a reactionary more so, or?
No, I think I can feed off energy, and sometimes that can backfire. So if the guest is getting worked up,
then you're going to start.
Yeah, I can get a little worked up. So it's just.
So what pulls you back and makes you realize you have some kind of like
end the conversation.
You're just like, I'm done.
Shut it down. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Like in those situations, I'll have little reminders like written out or something like that I'll keep with me just to keep me grounded, and so I don't react or anything, or I'll remember something that I read or whatever, because I get in some intense conversations, especially like when it comes to trans stuff or like all that stuff. Like I am just like tread that so lightly, because I don't want people to be reactionary in those conversations. And you got to be able to, like, if I know the person can't hang, I will just tell them, I can tell this isn't going to go anywhere, so we're not going to have this conversation.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Is I will have the conversation.
Yeah, I stop it.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's just going to be unhealthy and stuff. And if you could foresee that, and I'm not right all the time, but if I can tell body language, if I can tell that they're going to start coming at me, or they are starting to come at me with little things, I'm like, okay, are you capable of having this conversation without attacking each other? And I'll just check in. And if they can't do it, then I will end it, because I don't want to waste my energy on talking to somebody that's just going to start fighting just to fight. Because I always want to have a dialogue where it's just super respectful. And I know it's not going to happen all the time. Like, we're human, we're going to fail at doing that. But like, I want to learn so much from every walk of life, from everybody that does whatever profession. Like, I love, like, with construction stuff or whatever it is, like, we're working with a company now where I didn't really follow construction anything. And then we started doing this YouTube show for them. And I'm learning all this stuff about construction. And I'm like, oh shit, this is so dope. I love like how detailed you have to be to build these houses, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, if I can tell the person's just going to try to shut me down and then just try to prove a point or whatever it is, just to do it and to cause shit, then I'm out. I can't do it. So it's hard.
It's challenging. And I think most people just suck at using words to formulate how they really feel and separating themselves from their ideas. And this is coming from somebody that struggles with that myself.
Same.
But you have to do that, because if you're attached to your idea and it's a sensitive topic or it's a challenging idea, it's gonna get confrontational. Dude, you have to be able to pull yourself away from that and realize, I'm not this idea. I think this way, but if I'm presented with better information, I'll change.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I check in with myself constantly in those situations. Like, if I don't know about a subject or whatever it is, I will tell whatever it is, I will say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. And I always try to remain in that position. Like, because I have friends in the trans community and all that. And Like I am always asking, like, I don't understand your world at all, but I want to, and I want you to explain to me this stuff or whatever it is. And it's done pretty well for me. Like I've never, like, cause I don't care what the hell you do. Like, I don't give a shit. It's just, I just want to understand. And that's what I tell people. I'm a sponge. I always say I am a sponge. I'm willing to learn. And yeah, so because I've had those conversations too, and it just gets way too heated. And I'm like, okay, if you're not going to be willing to teach, then I don't want to talk.
And it's unfortunate because how do you learn about something that you're not confronted with if you can't ask questions to somebody who is?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I have friends in that community where they knew like my background and stuff, because like I came from the church background and all that jazz, and I had one way of thinking. And it was like, after I left the church and then like got into the real world, like I had friends that were super gracious in that community where I asked, like, I don't know what you want to be called. I don't understand this. Like literally, like I had a day where I broke down because I was like so sensitive to it, because I just saw people being hurt. And I'm like, okay, I want to be one of those people that like is actually there for you and understands you. And so I had like a couple people that I go to, like, I don't understand this concept. I don't understand this. Please explain it to me. And they were amazing about it. And now I like have a whole new understanding, and it's just freaking awesome. So like those are the people I love being around, where they're not like, well, you know what? Like, whoa, no, I want to know you. Like, just teach me. And so like I've been blessed enough with friends from that community that are just like badass at teaching that kind of stuff. So, but I still don't go out and like have debates about it and all that, just because that's not my thing. I'm not going to do that. But yeah,
it's important to have people around you like that.
Yeah,
that you can actually talk to, or advice for challenging ideas for whatever, and they're not going to get defensive, get upset. You say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm not really sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I just draw boundaries. I'm really good about drawing boundaries with people in situations where it's like heavy conversations and all that stuff.
See, I walk right in. I'm like, oh, let's see where this goes.
You're fueling that fire and ready. So like, okay, so you feed off of people, and is there something that you're practicing now though to help you with getting out of like a really intense situation where you know, like, okay, I'm going to be reactionary here. Like I'm going to be super emotional. I should probably not do this, or you just go for it anyway.
I have gotten better at bringing the level down as we go through that. If I can sense that it's starting to heighten and we're starting to get a little worked up, I can usually, I don't know how subtle it is for somebody else that's watching, but I would say somewhat subtly bring us back to a baseline. And then we can continue. I haven't had anybody walk out yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to happen. Yeah, right. It hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it will, but I think I've got a fairly good grasp on bringing us back when it starts to go.
Yeah, I've seen you do that a couple times where I forgot which one it was. It was a while ago. It's like kind of when you were first starting, or maybe it was, but I just remember a conversation that you were having where you could tell it was kind of getting a little heated, but you were really good about feeling the room and trying to just ask questions around. I'm going to have to, I'll text it to you later or whatever, but like I remember you just like wordsmithing it out of a really chaotic situation. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's dope. Okay, good job.
Yeah, it's probably more just luck than anything now that I'm thinking about it. But
well, if you feed off of people, I think like that's a really good skill, because you can feel, okay, we need to go this direction. And I know how to calm them down, like, and because you can tell you're very attentive, and so you're pretty good about like, okay, being calm with that person. If they're super reactionary, like you lower your voice a little bit and you start to go down a little bit, and like I think that's kind of what you started to do. But I'll have to watch it again, or find it. But yeah, it's that's what I try to do too, is like match people if they're gonna be. Well, and not in that situation. I'm not gonna get angry with people. I'm not gonna do that. Like I'll definitely just be like, all right. Let's calm down. Let's wait a second, like take a breather and take a couple minutes and then come back to the conversation if we want to. But yeah.
I think what gets me is the uncomfortability of it. Because if the guests were just getting upset, if it wasn't uncomfortable, I think I would have a much better chance at reining us back in quicker. But then I can sense that they're getting uncomfortable, so that I'm kind of feel like I'm on my back foot trying to, okay, let's bring it back in.
Yeah. I love being uncomfortable and the awkwardness of situations, because I love addressing it. It's like, are you feeling this right now? We're both feeling this awkwardness. Why? Let's figure that out. Like, I love being that guy where it's like, yeah, we both fucking feel weird right now. Let's talk about it.
Well, that's a good tactic to have when you're working with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, we have to address this so we can move through it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the end of the world. So let's just, what's going on here? Why
100%.
are we being weird to each other?
Yeah. And so back to the prep stuff. So when you're prepping, like, what did you do for today, if anything?
Well, for yours was an easy one because I figured we just get in here and talk.
Yeah.
And that's what most of the prep work is. I went through all of your work. Went through Red.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, they were good. They were good. I enjoyed it. It was harder finding a lot of your skits. I know you and Tex kind of share cross-platform post stuff.
Yeah.
So it was harder digging into a lot of your work that way. So a lot of the skits with him, I didn't really see. I saw clips that would be on Instagram. I saw your burrito hunt on YouTube. Dug into that a little bit.
That thing. Oh my God.
I saw your documentary that was from a year ago, maybe.
Oh yeah. They Call Me Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy. Oh man.
Where were you guys? Somewhere.
No, so that was, there's two cinematographers on that. One was in Texas and one was in Myanmar. And so they would send me hard drives, and I was here, and we worked on that for a while. That was supposed to go to Cannes Film Festival, and then I think there was talk about it going on Netflix, but it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't long enough or something like that. I don't remember what the logistics of that was, but I know it was supposed to hit Cannes. That was an intense edit, dude. You want to talk about editing, like long form stuff? Like that was brutal because you're sent terabytes of just footage that you have to go through, and it was so unorganized. Like, I'm very meticulous about how I organize my footage. And when these DPs would send me the footage, it was just a mess of stuff. And I was not a happy camper. Like, it paid really well. But I was just like, oh my God, if I ever, lead a documentary of this magnitude,
we're doing it different.
Yeah, there's going to be structure. But that one was so hard to edit in the emotional sense as well because of the stuff that I had to watch. I just was scarred for life and still am. Like, I'll have nightmares about it because of some of the things I had to. Oh my God, it was brutal. But
did you film any of the stuff that was stateside?
No, that was all a guy out of Texas. He had like a red Epic or something that he just bought just for fun, and I'm like, okay, I wish I had that money, like, because that's a $35,000 camera just for the body alone, and all the accessories are crazy expensive. But so I didn't film any of it. I just did all of the editing, and that was, it was a ton of fun, but super, super stressful because just how unorganized the footage was. So, but after I found my flow, I realized how much I really enjoy editing and crafting a story because they literally just sent me whatever they could film, and I get it. But it was fun just like actually making it make sense because I love puzzles and just understanding. We're trying to make things make sense and all that. So
how do you approach that? Because if you're just this is your first time seeing the footage is when you're editing it.
Yeah.
How are you creating the story for how it's going to flow? And when you have terabytes of footage, did you watch through it all to kind of get a sense of the direction you want to go through?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
So I had to watch through everything. And then, I had the script. It was a very, very rough script. And it was, again, one of those situations of if I was the director in it and not knocking the director, I love him, he's great. I would have been a little bit more organized with the script because I had an idea of I know how to make this way more badass than what I've been sent. But it's, again, one of those things when you're hired to do a job, you just do the job. You're not the director. You're not the writer. Well, there wasn't a writer, but you're there to serve somebody else's vision. And I really had to keep my ego in check there because it was this amazing freaking story about this lady that had a orphanage in her family for 120 years or something like that. And she took in all these kids and these refugees and stuff, and from these war-torn countries, just from everywhere. Literally, she used just an open house. If she could house everybody, she totally, or all these kids, she would have. And she just has an amazing story. And so it was about her, but then watching that footage and just her story, I just felt like it could have been done in a way where it was a little bit more impactful because it came off it just came off of, please send me money. and there's like this organization back in the day called World Vision, where you like send in money on an adopted child or whatever, and like send them like $30 a month or whatever. The documentary ended up feeling like that when I felt like her story could have been emphasized more, and what's going on over there could have been emphasized a lot more as well, because it's brutal stuff, man. Like I watched friggin' parents, their heads being smashed in by rice cookers and stuff. By like,
Jesus.
it was intense. And so like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like there was some footage where I was editing where I'm just bawling, because it's just like, how could a human being be so brutal to another human being? I mean, we got like murder and all this other stuff, but like when you watch just innocent people just being completely it's just was not great. And so I felt like that some of that needed to be in there, because it emphasizes like, this is how the world is. We live in this disgusting world, and like there's a lot of beauty to it too, but like when there's stories like this that needed to be told, like I felt like it could have just been done so much better. And I had a great learning process with it. It's just, again, I care about people and I care about story, and I felt like it could have been more impactful. And especially this lady, Miss Emerald, she gave her entire life to serve other people, literally. And that's all she ever did, and her family as well. And so I mean, it was a job, and it just felt like we just danced around the reality of the situation. And so I have my edit of it. I can't post it anywhere, but I have my edit because it felt like it served her honor better and honored her better than what I put out there.
What was the limiting factor in that?
It have to be so in the church world, like you can only do so much reality, like as far as like what's really going on in the world and all that stuff. And I felt I think what it was is they were going to show this in churches and show this in like in that arena and stuff. And I think they needed it to be just a little bit more tame, so that way the point got across. And I get it, the point got across, and people can make the donations and all that stuff. And that's pretty much it. Is it just need to be a little bit more tame? Where I'm like, okay, we need like a rated R version to really wake the church up and be like, this is really what's going on. Be uncomfortable, because this is a reality, and I don't like it when people turn their head to things that are going on that need to be addressed. So I think that's part of what it was. It's just a church thing.
You lose a lot of the impact when you sugarcoat something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially in that scenario, because it goes nuts, man. Like I was sent some crazy footage, and yeah, I wish I could post it, but I don't think I signed an NDA. I think we're okay. No, I didn't sign an NDA. I just signed a contract to do it. Okay, yeah, I'd have to make sure.
Did you send them your copy?
No, because I with the director, I told him, I did make my opinion known that I think. And I kind of overstepped for sure my boundaries, or the boundaries that were in that whole hierarchy of how that works. I told him like how I feel like it should go, and they didn't want that. Again, they're signing the checks. You just serve their vision, and that's it. The justice side of me is like, damn it, this could have been so dope. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you just got to serve their vision and move along, and it's a job. So paid my bills for a while.
That's a hard aspect of doing a project like this where you're not in total control of it.
Yeah.
Is you could have the vision for how it could be so much better, or potentially better even.
Yeah.
And it's just, no, that's not what we're looking for.
Yeah. And that, again, going back to ego, is like I always do self-checks in the creative world and whatever we're doing with my ego. And I'm always asking, okay, how's it doing? Like I'll imagine my ego in front of me and just be like, hey, how's it going? Are we going to be like kind of like wound up today, or are we going to be chill? And that was one of those situations where I learned to control that, because there's times where I know I can make something better for sure. And that was one of those times. And I just had to remind myself, and I have my mentors that are like, when you get hired for a job, you just do it. You have to learn. You cannot change it. When you're not the director, when you're not the one in charge of this project, it's not your project. Okay, I got it. So yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, it was. Yeah. And the director and I butted heads a couple times, because we would text and be like, dude, if we did this, this, and this, it would just make the impact even greater than what is being put out there right now with this assembly that we have. And no, that's not what they want. Okay. And then he could tell I had attitude in our text and stuff. And luckily, he's like the most gracious dude. And so, yeah, because that was like one of my bigger projects that I've done. Got me an IMDb credit, which, yeah, I can do so much with that. But it's still cool. But yeah, it's anyway, yeah, I just care about story and I just care about people. And so I just wanted that story to be told in a way where it just honored Miss Emerald. And it just kind of, for me, it just didn't feel like it. So.
It just became this, hey, send us money. Look at what's going on.
Yeah.
We're going to gloss over some parts, but we need the funds.
Yeah, it's, my God. Yeah, dude, I wish I could post my edit because my edit's an hour and 45. I think that was 34 minutes, something like that, because it went to more of the history of who this person is. I don't know if she's still with us because she, at the time, was 80 something, and she was having some health stuff. Actually, I have to check in. I'm glad that you brought that up. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. And if I could get away with it, I would post it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's a good way to open some litigation.
Yeah. So that was a fun one. I love editing documentaries. They're great, and yeah, I want to do more for sure. I'm always looking for some kind of story to get behind and like see if it's like worth the time and the effort and stuff. Because it's just, yeah, like a while ago I was doing a documentary series around here doing like the homeless stuff. Like I was interviewing a bunch of people, and then I found out somebody from HSU was doing it too. So I just kind of stopped, but like I was going into camps and like asking people, why are you this way? Like just straight up being like, what are you doing? Because I wanted to know. Like I didn't understand the situation, and it's because it's not, I mean, getting into that, it's not just a blanketed solution for stuff. Like I hear a lot of people will say like, we'll build housing for people and that's going to fix everything. I'm like, no, because it's not. Yeah. And I won't get too much into it, but at the same time, it's like, so I would ask some people, they weren't mentally there. They have no idea. And so you can't just be like, I'm going to give you a house. Congratulations. And then you're going to be better. Like, no, you have to look at that situation and find a solution for that specific situation. There's some guys that I interviewed where they were just straight up criminals and they love that lifestyle because they can get away with it. And so then there's like people that are genuinely down on their luck where it was like sad to watch. It's like it was like a job thing or whatever, ex-military, whatever it was. And I did a bunch of interviews and it was just crazy, like some of the stories that I was getting. And I felt like those needed to be out there so that way people can gain understanding rather than just being like, oh, we just need to get rid of them. Or we just need to get housing. Oh, we just need to do this. It's like, it's specific in every situation. You can't just blanket and just say things. Like you can't, like that's what drives me crazy with people is you can't just say quotes for social media that sound good to get you somewhere.
That 5-second soundbite.
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
Build more housing.
Yeah, no, that's like anybody that says, and I'm sorry, but anybody that says building more housing is going to fix the homeless situation and that whole whatever is going on there is completely ignorant of the reality of it. Like I see it every day, and there's some people where I'll genuinely connect with on the street and like hang out with them and talk to them and just get to know their story and stuff. And there's some really good people out there, but then there's some guys where they're just they love that lifestyle and they love getting hired by local people to do things. Like some of them guard businesses because of how crazy the homeless situation is getting. So I found that out through talking to some of them. And like, I remember one story was, we were at the store one day and some guy came in, just walked in and stole some stuff from us. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I start chasing him because I can't do anything. I'm not going to do anything in general because I'm not a fighter. I was just like, the justice side of me is like, bro, you don't just walk in, steal shit and then run away. So I'm like, this guy steals a couple things and books it down 2nd Street. And I'm like running and I'm like a bigger dude. And so I can't keep up with him. He's super skinny and just like booking it.
Well, he's probably on meth too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He's just like going for it. Oh my God. Like I was so shocked because he was super lazy coming in. But then when he left, just all hell broke loose and he was just gone. I'm running. And then all of a sudden I hear footsteps behind me. And I'm like, oh God, this is how I go. And there's like 3 or 4 homeless people behind me. And they're like, what did he do? What did he do? I'm like, well, he stole this, this, and this. Don't worry, brother. We got you. Starts running after this guy. and gets our merchandise back, and then we never see him again. And I'm like, okay. But it's just like, yeah, it's crazy down there in Old Town. Just the stuff that
Mantovas, you guys are
right there
on the front line.
Yeah, we're literally right there. Like, I've almost been stabbed. I've had a couple of homeless guys like put a hit out for me because I looked at them the wrong way, apparently. And then but luckily we have enough relationship with the people down there where it's like, hey, he said this and this, and they're really good about getting those guys under control. But it's nuts, man. Like, some of this, like, when people talk about, I don't know, it just drives me crazy when they're like, oh, we should do this, and this. I'm like, have you actually been down there and like you hang around down there? Because it's intense. Like, I know really good people that are serving food and trying to help change perspectives and mindsets of the people that are living on the streets. Because that's a huge part of it too, is like they've adapted to the streets and they've got this mentality of that's all that they're going to be now.
It's like prison.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like adopting, you go into prison and then you become a hardened criminal.
Yeah.
Because you have to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and it's just in those situations, is just teaching them, like, and I don't know the solution. I'm not going to pretend like I know the solution, but it's like, from the mindset end of things, it's like, just get to know them, see where they're at, and then start creating a solution around that. Like, if somebody's just adopted this mentality of like, that's all they're going to ever do and all they're ever going to be, and they're just genuinely down on their luck, like, help sit them down and like rewrite that story in their brain, rewire their brain with them, and get them to believe in themselves again. And help them gain better understanding of the self and how to be successful to get out of this. Just giving them a house isn't going to do it. Like, and it could be a special case where it's like, hey, you have a house now. And then they're like, yes, amazing. But it's not, I personally believe it's not going to be that simple. And,
well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
Definitely not.
The problem is people want to treat this like it's a black and white issue.
Right.
But you have, like you said, you have veterans who are homeless. You have people who got a bum deal of cards and are homeless. Then you have people who have serious mental health issues, who are severely unstable,
right? And
they're also on the street.
Yeah.
And the criminals. And if you put these people into a house, that doesn't solve any of those problems.
No.
Doesn't solve the mental health, doesn't solve the criminal aspect. You're just removing them from the street and putting them out of sight.
Yeah.
And then when they blow up, it's, well, we don't see it, so it's not as bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I mean, yeah. Man, that's crazy to me, is that whole thing. And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know solutions for it. I see it on the daily, and I just don't like how it just gets treated. And there's people that are trying, but I just don't like how it gets treated. Like, it's just, let's house them, put them away, and so we can have Old Town look good.
It's a talking point.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's solve homelessness.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, when I get around people that say stuff like that, I'm like, what do you want to do?
And it's all the same shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, check out my website and see where I stand for this, and that. I'm like, all right. Oh, so you just copy and pasted what every politician says that's trying to get into some kind of office. Congratulations, you are not unique. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... Okay, yeah, now I'm getting heated. But but I just like, yeah, if you have solution, then come to the table. Or if you can facilitate solution, come to the table. But don't like jerk us all along and tell us all these talking points and stuff and just not deliver. I've seen that time and time again here. And it's just...
And we don't have to run into the same brick wall.
Exactly.
I'm all for us trying things. I think we need to try a bunch of different things.
Yep.
But if we've tried it and it doesn't work, we don't have to try it, but flavor it slightly different 15 more times because, maybe it'll work this time.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
No.
Let's move on to the next idea.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm not like too involved with the political world at all whatsoever. And I've always wanted to be, but I'm a filmmaker. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to pretend that I am, because I don't want to ever, I'm like I was saying, if I don't know about the subject, I'm going to say I don't know. I'm not going to pretend, and just to get popular with people and have sound bites and all that stuff. I just want to see everybody successful in whatever that looks like. And if there's stuff around here that people are actually trying to fix that stuff, then I want to know about it. And I just know, just seeing it every day, it's taxing, and it's just sad. And so, like, you got businesses that are trying to do things, and it's hard to expand, and it's hard to, when you've got all this stuff going on. So, and I'm tired of almost getting the shit kicked out of me and stabbed and stuff. Like, it's not fun.
Understandably. Going to work with the threat of getting shanked is not. Yeah. That's not a good day.
Yeah, like when we have to like walk out of the store with, we have like lessons and all that stuff done there with like kids and all that jazz, and I've heard it from parents over and over again, like I think we're going to be done because we can't risk this, yada yada yada, and like we have to walk people out because we're in a shitty location in general.
Yeah, it's just rough.
Yeah, it's really rough, but it's still at the same time, it's like, if you care so much about Eureka, and we've got like this love Eureka, I love Eureka thing, love all of it and find solution for it. Don't just say that to make a sticker to put on the back of your car, but like actually come with solution. Like, there's nothing being done down there. Like, the guys that are running the mission are doing a great job and doing everything that they can. Like, we talk to them all the time. They're killing it. But it's just the people that can actually do things, I haven't really seen them in the last 4 or 5 years do anything. And so it's just, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's like one of those conspiracy things where people are paid off and just gain something from it. I have no idea. Like, my mind goes to like a script where I'm like, oh, maybe city council's paid for by this.
What's the dark end on this?
Yeah, exactly. That's where my brain goes, but I try not to do that too much.
Well, there's a lot of money to be made in the business of homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And if you solve homelessness, all that money goes away. All those people with those jobs suddenly displaced.
And I wish that people would just come out and say stuff like that and just straight up be
honest.
Yeah, we're
not going to solve this problem because I'm making $250,000 a year coming up with a way to solve this problem.
Yeah. I would love to hear people say that than just, and this is probably an ego thing or whatever it is thing with me, is just, I'm a justice person, and if you're just going to lie to us constantly, like, just at least say you're making bank and just tell the truth. I would rather have that than being strung along with the possibility of this person being set up for success and changing their life around, maybe, possibly, yada, yada, yada. Like, and that's just where I need to remove myself from the situation and be like, okay, yeah, they're just doing talking points. It's fine. I
would rather you be a piece of shit and be honest.
Yes.
Than lie to me and try to be a saint.
Yeah. I love when people are just straight up honest about that. Like, I don't plan on doing anything. I plan on just doing the same thing over again. Cash my checks and call it good. It's like, then say that so we can all see you. So we can see your dirty laundry and all that stuff. But again, going to your point of, people make money off of it, then, because again, I don't know. And so if they do, then good on you, but say something so that, I don't know. I live in that world where you could just be completely transparent, but not a lot of people will be that. So
I think that's a happier world to live in. The one you're in.
I love
movies,
my world.
Making cool shit. I think that is way better than going down the grimy road of politics.
Yeah. And that's like, I've always had a passion for it and stuff, but mainly just studying it. Because like, I hate when people say like, politics sucks, politics is dirty. It's like, no, it's that age old thing. It's just the politicians. They're the ones that are twisted, that are doing this and that. There's nothing wrong with politics. If you can get like civil people to sit down and like whatever, city council, whoever, I don't know who runs what, and just have an open conversation and be vulnerable with each other and just make solutions for things and just actually do it, that'd be freaking awesome. But yeah, you just got to remove those people that are just, I don't know, making money off the system and stuff. And
we've let it devolve too far.
Yeah.
Is the problem. Because now no good person wants to run.
Right.
And then you've got, Mitch McConnell over here having heart attacks every 5 seconds.
Dude,
and
what happened to him?
They're just wheeling her in and out as like a photo op. And then Biden's saying that he's at the 9/11 memorial on the 12th, but he wasn't. He was on the Senate. You just have...
Wait, did he really?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Just tried to... Well, he lies all the time.
That's crazy.
The question is, does he know he's lying? Or is he just so far gone that he thinks he's just living these alternate lives?
Dude, that's... yeah.
But those are our politicians.
Yeah.
3 incredibly powerful politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And are they...
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Are they even aware that one of them's having heart attacks, the other is just...
That Mitch McConnell thing was crazy.
Was
I didn't know that was happening. Because like I took a break from following politics because it just became way too stressful and stuff. I again, justice side of me is like, okay, I would, if I was in there, I'd be doing this and this and this. But then I had the reality check of, I can't do anything. I'm a filmmaker, director, dude. That's all I do, and I can't change anything. And I don't want to do that because I know the sacrifice that would take. But I just watched like the Mitch McConnell thing. I just feel bad for the dude. Like I take no sides in anything. I'm just like, okay, whatever's the best solution for the greater good, let's do it. But watching that dude, I don't even know what happened because I didn't even know he was having these weird just pauses in the middle of stuff. And I saw something that came up on TikTok the other day where I forgot what he said, but was just silent.
Just freezes.
Whoa, yeah. I'm like, what is going on?
In the middle of answering a question.
Yeah.
Just shuts off.
That was nuts to me. I'm like, okay, if they're in that state, dude, I'm so sorry for that guy. Like, get him out of there.
Abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about his family? I would be, if my kids were just propping me up, or my staff, or the people that I've surrounded myself with are just propping me up.
Yeah.
As I'm dying in front of the world.
Right.
What?
What is going on there?
Let that guy retire and go off to his mansion with all of his stock money and just exist and maybe find some solitude and come to terms with his life.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm all for that.
We can't find anybody else. There's nobody else. Wait.
There's many, like
300 plus million people. We can't find somebody else to fill that spot. We got to have this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's, that whole world is just fascinating to me. Like, even with the Joe Biden stuff, like his flubs, all of his stuff, I'm just like, I just feel bad for the guy now because of just everything that he said. Didn't know that Hawaii was a part of the United States. Like, bro, he's just gone.
Making shit up.
Yeah, he's so
swinging
gone
from the hip.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to that guy for going through stuff. I don't know. I just you're right. It is elder abuse, and it's sad to watch. And
it's just disappointing that this is where we are, and it's more so that people are trying to cop for these people and make excuses. Oh, they're not gone. Yeah. I have a hard time keeping up with Biden.
Yeah.
What? What? If you're saying that, you should lose your job too, because if you can't keep up with this guy who's tripping over sandbags falling apart, like what does that say about your competency?
Well, and then it's like, and then you follow that rabbit trail of, okay, then what are they gaining from this? Like, for keeping these people
dark hole, man.
Yeah, that's why I stayed out of it for a while, because I'm just like, I mean, you can have every theory on the face of the planet and stuff, but it's just like, unless you're in the middle of the situation, you have no idea. And that's what I remind myself of constantly is, I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. All I'm seeing is, Instagram stuff, TikToks, YouTube shorts and clips of all these chaotic things going on. And then I have to remind myself, you can't do a damn thing. You can only control your little world, and that's it. And that my little world, we will be honest with each other and serve each other's visions really well and do what we can, but I can't change the world. Like,
I think you can. You keep saying that. I think with what you do is arguably one of the best ways to change the world. I mean, through a powerful film or just a skit that pulls people out of all that.
Yeah.
It gives them a second to laugh, or maybe it's a drama and it gives them something to really think about their own mortality. I think you can, through cinema, you can change a lot. I mean, I've seen movies that have impacted me in a ton of different ways, or a documentary that makes you rethink your whole life watching something play out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Not to put the weight of the world on your back.
No, not at all. No, I do agree with you. It's like, and there's things that I definitely want to tackle and that I've written where I'm like, do I want to, going back to the sacrificing thing, like, do I want to sacrifice just, I don't even know. Like, there's things I've written about where I'm very, like, church stuff, things that happen there that are just not the greatest. But it's also, what do I want to expose, and how is that going to affect me ultimately? Because again, I keep saying it over. I'm the justice guy where I'm like, okay, I want justice to situations, and if I could do that through cinema, I'm going to try. And maybe this is just I'm processing this now, and of course I'm doing it on a podcast. It's like I'm scared of the repercussions of certain things, because there's definitely been some things that I've got in the works where I believe it could cause conversation, but I also have a family to protect, and I don't want it doing anything there, like, because they're my world. Like, I never want to sacrifice that at all whatsoever. But, like, yeah, there's the trafficking stuff too. Like that Sound of Freedom movie that came out. A couple of friends of mine produced that and got behind that. And like, I'm very passionate about the justice there in those situations. And I've written stuff around that as well. And it's like, do I even want to tackle that, or just let the people that can actually have that level of influence just keep doing what they can there? Like, those guys sacrificed a lot coming out with that movie. Like, everybody thought that it was going to tank, and then it just did amazing. But like, yeah. Anyway, but
that's a fascinating case study. That movie. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it.
Oh, dude, you should see it.
But just the backlash.
Oh yeah,
the backlash for a movie that's against exploiting children.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that everybody could get on board with that.
Oh yeah,
and they just
demolished.
Demolished.
Like, yeah, it was so dumb. When we saw it, it was me and Tex and a couple of other people. We went and watched it, and yeah, because again, a couple of my friends were on that project, and I just wanted to, like, I didn't know. I haven't seen Jim Caviezel act in anything all that much recently, except for like The Passion of the Christ and something else. But I didn't know what to expect going in there. I just sat there. I think we sat for like 30 minutes afterwards, where it's like, how do we take this feeling and actually do something about it? Like, it messed me up. Like, I went home and I was just bawling, because it's, again, how could human beings be like this? Like, who hurt you? Like, why did you decide to go down this rabbit hole and do such a terrible thing? But then the backlash that came with it, where like the news was attacking it and all that crap. I'm like, okay, so it's addressing a real life issue. Like, we have it here. Guess what? It's everywhere too. Like, why are you so weird about calling out the darkness? Why?
And labeling it some right-wing conspiracy movie.
Exactly. It's bringing attention to a very real thing. And just the conversations I've had with people about that is like, well, it's just this. Have you seen the movie? No. Then shut the hell up. Like, are you like aware of the fact that this is a real thing? Like, it's like with people when they're talking about Germany, like Nazi Germany. Oh, that didn't really happen. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's a crazy statement.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? But it's like, yeah, it's a very real thing. And it's under all of our noses, and I'm glad that movie came out, and I'm glad that it addressed all that stuff. I'm glad that I watched it, and I support my friends that were part of that project, because it's intense, man. Like,
that would be a hard movie to make. Going on the set and creating some of those moments.
There's
that theme of it would be challenging.
If there's a couple scenes in, they don't like do anything, but they insinuate some stuff. It's kind of like a Hitchcock thing where he doesn't show some actions. It's just, and I think that was well done on their part, because then it sinks in, like, because your brain goes there for you.
You can fill it in on your own.
Exactly. And so you're like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? And so it's a massive reality check, and it rocked my world. And so I want to be able to tell stories like that. Because I think the guy, Tim Ballard, the whole movie's after, like, I think they're doing a documentary, a 3-hour long one, and then they're doing a second movie to the Sound of Freedom, I think. But yeah, dude, it's intense. Like, you should just watch it. I mean, since you like being a sponge, it's like, it's great. From like a filmmaker perspective, I would have done some things different. Like, I wanted to go darker with, like, I was hoping they would, but I get you're introducing the concept to the masses, and so you have to be a certain way to and tell that story. You can't just come out of the gate with, here's all the dirty laundry. You can't just do that. And so I think the next one's going to be a little bit darker. That's what I heard. So, which I'm kind of looking forward to, because there's a story in it. When you see it, he mentions, I think it's Cuba or something like that. Anyway, he mentions some place, and they're going to delve into that. And I guess it gets way darker there, and they're going to just kind of emphasize it. I'm like, okay, great. So, but yeah, it's everywhere. And so when the backlash happened, I was like, why? This is so weird to me.
Do you think you would want to lean, when you're talking about leaning in that kind of direction, would it be just hard-hitting documentaries, or something with a little more drama attached to it?
I think something with a little bit more drama attached to it. Like, I'll do documentaries all day long. It's just, I don't know why I haven't done it. But yeah, something with a little bit more drama to it, because stories, I mean, obviously just they can grab you and stuff. And sometimes the documentary version doesn't really do it all that much. So I have this theory of like, okay, the alien thing, for instance, like follow me real quick. We're going to go on a tangent. Like we've had so many sci-fi movies about aliens. And then when aliens started getting introduced to us and our government's admitting there's things out there they're not sure of, then we're like, oh yeah, we knew it. It's because it conditioned, like all these sci-fi movies conditioned us to be ready for whatever. And yeah. And so then we start hearing about that. And so I kind of think that, that's why I want to do it too, is like tell something more of the dramatic way and then introduce the concept and then come out with like a documentary about that thing and be like, okay, boom, here's the reality of it. Like this is what's actually going on.
You want to kind of prime them before.
Yeah, exactly.
Hitting them over the head with it.
Yeah. So just depends. On the subject matter and stuff. And I just want to make sure like whatever I take on that I'm willing to just go to bat for and be behind it 100%. Because when you tackle things like that, like you're exposing yourself like to, the backlash and all that stuff. Even though the backlash happened with that project, they're still killing it. They're still doing really well. And so, I don't know.
I think it's important people do that.
Yeah.
Because at some point you just have to say fuck you to the backlash. Because...
yeah.
Otherwise, if everybody bends the knee, where does that get us?
Yeah. Where we're at now. Like
it's a cluster.
Yeah, it's a massive cluster. So yeah, that's definitely what I would want to do is do the drama stuff for a little bit and then go into documentary.
Do you have anything concrete that you want to sink your teeth into? I know you were talking about kicking around a few ideas.
Yeah.
Anything that's more...
There's some stuff like there's some ideas that I wrote it, and then the guys that I have act for me occasionally, I've had them read the script that I'm working on, seeing if they even want to tackle the subject matter, because it's kind of dark and just about, honestly, some stuff that's happened around here that I've seen or heard, and I'm just like, okay, this needs to be addressed. And so I sent this one script out to a couple guys, and I'm like, what do you think? Just know, we might get backlash, like we might get shit for doing this, but I feel very strongly like this needs to be addressed because we live in such a small county that this subject matter does not have an effect on us, or it's not actually going on. And every single one of them was like, I'm in. Like, okay, here we go.
Yes, we're doing it.
Yeah, I was like, I guess it's going to happen now. So yeah, it's there's several things that I've started writing and have finished where it's just one of those things I want to do this right now. And is this the right moment to do it? And is this the right season for it? And so I just kind of check in with people that mentor me. Because again, I always believe that you should have a mentor, somebody that's way ahead of you in everything. And just kind of, I'm pitching to them, like, what do you think? What if I jumped on this right now? And then one of them's like, yeah, go for it. You're going to get shit on. Like, okay. So it's just a fear thing. Like going back to that, it's like, that's a fear thing that I have is, I just don't want to be hung on a cross and being like, yeah, you suck. So, but at the same time, if change is going to happen, and like, obviously I feel so passionate about certain things, like I always have the theory is like, if you're passionate about it and you talk about it constantly and you bitch about it all the time, do something about it. So slowly getting there. So.
Words to live by.
Yep. I should go on a shirt. I'm into making like shirts and all that stuff. So
yeah, the Sightseer production. I like the logo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was
new merch coming soon. It's gonna have that quote on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's like literally in my notes in my phone, my bonus daughter and my girlfriend and I will we come up with shirt ideas all the time, like these stupid sayings that are just like ridiculous, and they're gonna have my logo on it and stuff. But yeah, so. Yeah, the Sightseer logo, like that was super intentional too. Like everybody keeps asking me, like, what's just so intimidating? Like for wedding films, I'm like, it's really not. It's an owl and a shutter. Like
I like it.
Yeah, so it takes some explanation, but yeah, that was just like something a buddy of mine. He's like this spiritual cowboy guy that just like travels all over the place, just like listening to the universe, asking where he should go and stuff. And we were driving one night and. This owl flew over this, I think we were out 36 just driving to go to the redwoods and stuff. The owl flew over the road. And he's like, oh, Grimaldo, I think it's a sign. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're wise like the owl. yeah, you're a sightseer. I'm like, what? And then I was going to Fort Bragg with a friend of mine, and then there was this RV on the back of it. It said sightseer something or whatever. I'm like, okay, I got to do something with this whole sightseer thing. And then obviously I do filming and then camera work and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to do sightseer productions and just have it be like this cool thing. Like it means a lot because, yeah, my buddy would just kept telling me that he's like, you can see things where other people can't. You draw stuff out of people and you're just wise. I'm like, I don't feel that, but okay, great. And so then we just kind of roll with that with the logo, and I had a friend of mine do it, and it's a dope look. I mean, I have it tattooed on my leg too, so I was just like, I ran with it. But
it's crazy how things just organically emerge like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said at the beginning, or you said at the beginning, these ideas come to fruition, and if you don't jump on it, it's not going to be lost with you. Somebody else is eventually going to catch that sucker.
Absolutely. I used to think that wasn't a thing. And then
you have a couple ideas that get swiped, and you're like, ah,
I was like, God. So, and like, I feel like God or the universe or whatever you want to say, like puts ideas and like opens doors for you and ideas to you and puts ideas to you where it's like, you have the opportunity to jump on this. And if you don't, it's going to be made known anyway. So you might as well just be the person that does it. And so I'm trying to always remember that is if I get an idea, it's like, I need to roll with it. I just need to do it. Because some Joe Schmo is going to be like, motherfucker, I'm stealing your shit, and then do it. And I'm like, God. So, yeah, it's, how things organically happen is just so much fun. Just I mean, I don't know, like, especially when you're working with groups of people, the camaraderie, and then like, you just feel that vibe and the energy, and it's just super easy to create and come up with stuff. It's just a lot of fun. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Justin, this has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you coming on and talking with me.
Thank you for having me. I was super nervous about it, but you're really good.
It's not as bad once you sit down.
No, and you're good about it. Like your whole vibe is great, and you're good about like getting stuff out of people. So yeah, good job on you.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's easy when you have an interesting guest, you know.
Was I interesting?
Yeah, I thought so.
Are you sure? Okay.
We'll see once we get the backlash. I won't know for sure, but
yeah, because I don't feel interesting half the time. So when you asked me, I was like, okay, I'm down. Like I was saying before, but because I do a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's too interesting. And so if people find it interesting, then phenomenal. If not, then have a good day.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, I always gauge it just by if I enjoyed it, and I did.
Did you?
I consider it a good
dead
podcast.
Ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't lie to you. I just wouldn't say. I wouldn't tell you it sucked. I just wouldn't say anything,
dude. If you straight up told me, "Hey, this sucked," I'd be like, okay, we're best friends now. I'd be all over that. That's awesome.
Do you want to plug all your stuff where people can find you, find the wedding stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of, it's because I do several different things. So if you want wedding stuff, it's sightseerproductions.com. If you want to see stuff that I do, like music videos and documentary stuff and ads, it's justingrimaldo.com. And we'll see what Instagram, I'm Justin_Grimaldo. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I've got your link tree up in the
description too. You're so good at this. Look at you being so great at this. See, you're a badass, man.
Occasionally I get it right.
Is there anything that you want to plug?
I think we can end it on that. I don't want to ruin it. All right. Really, thanks, man. We'll do this again. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.